This broadcast from IOF TV is brought to you by T-Cartor and Lumonite.
Hello and welcome back to Edinburgh for the Sprint World Orienteering Championships 2022. It's Catherine Burt and James Ackland here to bring you live coverage of the knockout sprint, the semi-finals and the finals over the next couple of hours. We're still quite near the centre of the Scottish capital and we're in this section, old section, lots of small alleyways, lots of courtyards. It's going to be very, very technical and exciting racing. Well, we've already just had our quarterfinals, which has cut the field from 36 athletes to just 18. And there's been a little bit of rain to contend with on the course already. Drizzly conditions, very light rain conditions expected over the next couple of hours, which is certainly going to make it a bit tricky and a bit slippy for those athletes as they head around into the terrain. And as we get to the semi-final stage of this competition, the athletes who have made it this far, this will be their third race of the day. They've already done a qualification race over in Wester Hales this morning. They have just done their quarter-finals and now on to both the semi-finals and the finals. It is only the top 2 of 6 athletes to make it through towards the finals. So it's going to be very, very quick racing with a lot at stake, and any mistakes that these athletes make is going to be incredibly, incredibly costly. It's quite a new discipline in the sport of orienteering. It's only the second time we're awarding a world title in this race, and the first time it was held in a World Cup was back in 2018. And I personally, James, I don't think I've seen a knockout sprint like this one. This is going to be, I think, by far the most technical race, and it could change absolutely everything. Let's recap then some of our quarter-finals, which we had earlier on. This one was won with Yanashikova. This was the first quarter-final, and actually we saw them punching here quite close together at this point, and then they all split up in the route choices towards the end. It was only 3 of these 4 athletes who would actually make it through all the way to actually qualify through into the semi-finals here. But there were kind of some favourites here, and it was those 3 in the lead. Rita Maramarossi, who's still a junior. She's a junior world champion, but she is a junior, just that little bit less experienced than the others. And Teresa Yanashikova from Czechia, Caroline Olsen from Sweden, and Victoria Heistad Bjornstad from Norway. The 3 heading up the stairs here in this leading pack and going around this final last corner, the last control, and to finish on the street here in front of all the spectators in the rain as well. You can see it pouring down here. It was quite clear, in fact, for those 3 to qualify. And the athlete in the lead, you can see she's just celebrating already before crossing the line. Teresa Yanashikova, not the best individual sprint performance from her. She is definitely going to want to improve on her 25th place from Friday. So very happy moments there for Yanashikova to make it into the next round. The next quarterfinal we're going to highlight for you was quarterfinal number 4. You can see here 5 of the 6 athletes all together with only a few controls still to go. They have to turn around here, and again, all going the same way here. And again, all 5 athletes very, very close together here. Ida Egvik Christensen in the lead, then Venla Hayu, then Alva Sonnesson. But look at the figure in orange. This is Aoife van Dongen. She's got a bronze medal in this discipline already. She punches the last control and then just uses those very strong arms of hers to power up this hill. It is a slight uphill run, and you can see Sonnesson on the right from Sweden struggling a bit here, going backwards. So it was Egvik Christensen, Hayu and Aoife van Dongen from the Netherlands through in the end. Sonnesson and Mark just out of it. Celebrations from Ida Egvik Christensen, but it was a great running there from Aoife van Dongen at the end. We also can highlight quarterfinal number 5. This has one of the favourites, maybe Hannah Lundberg, in this group here. She missed a control in the individual sprint. She is going to want to try and, you know, make amends for that. And you can see, look how far she was ahead of the others at that particular point. But still 4 in the shout here for 3 controls. See Isia Basse just waiting there at that point. And then still the 4 athletes here. At this point, Andrina Benny-Minson must have made mistakes further back. One of the favourites was off the back of the pack here, but Maya Sianoya here in second place. Hannah Lundberg in the lead looks very, very good. They will steal little glimpses of their maps. They've got to find the right cut into this last point here. They just go in front of the athletes. Sianoya making a mistake, making a hesitation there. Now has to work hard to catch back up, but it was Lundberg there to punch his control first. Sianoya somehow still in second place despite the mistake there. And look at Basse here. She can run through that control. She doesn't have to turn around, and that is very, very decisive in this race. So Hannah Lundberg clearly in the lead here. This was the 5th of 6 quarterfinals. Sianoya there in second place, but then look at these other 2 athletes behind. They turn the burners on this final stage, overtaking on this uphill running. Sianoya, you can see it in her face, she's not got much more to give. And in fact, it was the French athlete Basse and the Spanish athlete Gonzalez who were both able to take places. You can see just how pleased the Spanish athlete was here. They had all 6 of their athletes qualified for the quarterfinals. They've had and now she's qualified for the semi-final as well. This is a big deal for a small orienteering nation like Spain. So, okay, let's look then at the semi-final. We see, as we saw, that the quarterfinals cut our pool of athletes down from 36 to 18. And this course is only going to take them 8 minutes. That's 2 kilometres. They're going to be running around these streets incredibly quickly. They're doing 4-minute kilometres here. This is insane racing. They've got so many corners. They've got steps to contend with as well. And they've got the map reading. Just shows how quickly they're going. This is our first look at the map. They have quite a long run out to the start control. And then we start off a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, a bit of an easier start to proceedings in this semi-final, but it doesn't take too long for it to get tricky. There's an opportunity to lose time on that first control if you take the route choice to the left. I don't think many athletes will do that. Second control also easier, but this third control here, there is a lot of route choice, and actually part of the difficulty here is just seeing any route through that works. The best route lies kind of to the right-hand side of the line, to the east of the line, as we see here. But yeah, just finding anything to go through there will be a challenge. 5 to 6. Well, this is a horrible, horrible leg. You can see a section under the canopy kind of south of the line between 5 and 6. That is a wedding shop that has been opened up for the athletes to run through, and some of the good route choices go that way. But again, the challenge just to see any way through at all. These route choices, well, certainly Planner John Cross is hoping that they will split up the pack. We saw a lot of that in the quarterfinals. But yeah, a really technical semi-final here, quite different to what we've seen in previous competitions.
Very different. Let's have a look at then one of the route choices, 6 to 7. Talk us through the options.
Yeah, so 6 to 7, this comes just after that really long leg that we saw. Lots of windy routes through. The best option is the red left option, quite clean running that way, and the orange option I think actually very slightly shorter, but because it's so twisty it costs you time and the opportunity of a big execution error if you go up the steps in front of you as you twist through. I think that's university accommodation there. We could see some athletes crashing out there, and we see here Joe Sunley taking, I believe, that orange route.
So he's taking the blue route. This is
sorry, the light blue route, yes.
Well,
and you don't want to see anyone taking this route, or at least no one that you're cheering for at home. This route is no good from Joe Sunley, but you can see just the conditions that they're going to have to deal with. Lots of narrow passageways will be difficult in this group racing. sort of environment. Even as they come out onto the high street here, it's still narrow. And we saw a lot of jostling for position in the quarterfinals. We saw quarterfinals decided on the run-in, which is very unusual in knockout sprint. So it could be all to play for all the way to the very end, but a very different character to these races than we saw in the quarterfinals. And I think that might just shake things up a little bit for some of the athletes.
So let's talk about some of the favourites then here as we see these semi-finals started. Who are we wanting to look out for?
Well, you can never look past Tove Alexandersson in a women's knockout sprint. She just wins them and wins them and wins them, and I think she will do well in this first semi-final. Teresa Janashikova, I think another favourite for me. Like you said earlier, not coming off the back of her best World Championships results, but I think she has a point to prove, and she would love to get into that final. In semi-final 2, we have Natalia Gempele and Megan Carter-Davis. Yves van Dongen also has a medal in this discipline, so will she make it through? We'll wait and see. And in semi-final 3, well, to me, this one looks a little closer. Simona Aebersold, obviously the big favourite, but Hannah Lundberg, off the back of 2 disappointing mispunch-affected results so far, another, like Teresa Janashikova, who will want to make a mark in this, the final chance for these athletes to pick up a medal at the World Orienteering Championships here in Edinburgh.
Yeah, and a lot rides on making this final because then it can be so open in the final. You've kind of got a half chance of getting a medal, you know, if just making it through to the final. Teresa Janashikova, very, very happy to be there, absolutely. So too Caroline Olsen making the team. She had a disappointing individual result as well. Victoria Hesse-Bjørnstad, Tove Alexandersson, Maëlle Beauvais, absolutely delighted to make it through to this one. And Pia Young-Vik, a very young Norwegian, great to see her also in the semi-final. She's a junior athlete, or you know, only just into the senior ranks, is Pia Young-Vik. So this is, again, it's super, super stacked. You have the likes of fast-finishing Janashikova, Tove Alexandersson, who we guess will head out towards the start. But Hesse-Bjørnstad, she's made a couple of finals recently. She was in the final at the World Cup earlier this year. She was in the final at the European Championships last year. Don't count her out. She knows how to do the tactics.
She is no mug. Now, we saw in the quarterfinal, like you say, that Tove Alexandersson sort of ran off the front, tried to dictate the terms of the race. I'm sure she would like to do the same thing here in the semi-final, but it's a very different character to the area. More route choice available, perhaps, and lots of playing with the sight lines. So even if she tries to run off the front, the girls are going to have a good opportunity to do something a bit different. Janashikova has made a very, very quick start here.
Yeah, she's clearly got some tactics here. She wants to be at the front. She's had a little gap over the others, and that's quite interesting as they just start up their route as well. So we have some great drone shots to be able to try and bring you as much of the race as possible. And this is looking good for all of these athletes. They all want to be heading in this direction because you're going to lose about 10 to 12 seconds if you go left out of the start control. This looks pretty simple to me for all of these athletes, and some of the marshals keeping people back here as we get cheered on through the alleyways in this semi-final. Our GPS tracking is a little bit behind our runners, so just take that with a pinch of salt when you look at that. But they're all round these corners. They're just about to head into the courtyard south of control number 1, and still Janashikova has clearly got the tactics of going into the lead. She wants to be in control. She doesn't want to be messing around waiting for anybody else. She is absolutely there in the lead. Down the steps here, look how steep they are.
Wow, they're really struggling down these steps. Like you say, a clear strategy from Janashikova, but now Tove Alexandersson hits the front, possibly just that technical running up the steps, favouring her a bit. And actually, Teresa Janashikova now really deeply into the map. And the reason for that is that, not on this control, but the one following it, is our first big route choice, control 2 to 3, which we saw previewed early on, and you know they will just be looking for any way through.
Ooh, mistakes here, and maybe Tove Alexandersson thought she could get through the little gap there. She absolutely can't. They've got to go all the way around this construction work here, through some more kind of small sections here, and that's dropped her back in the pack. She was in the lead, and that's what I think we'll see a lot of in this race. Yep. Lots of changes of positions by people making mistakes, especially if they're near the front.
Yep, and it's let Janashikova back to the front, at least for a little while, which clearly is what she wants to be doing in this race. Now, this looks like a bit of a gap. I wonder if Pia Young-Vik, already struggling with the pace, but she does also seem to be picking a different route choice here. In fact, actually, it's just a micro route choice. Very nice little diagonal there from Pia Youngvik, and those sorts of things can make a big difference in knockout sprint as we see them in towards our first TV control, and there is a bit of a gap here.
Half and half then, approaching from these different directions, but it is Tove Alexanderson actually to get to this point first. The trailing three who came from the left had to go up a set of steps to get to that way, and it's back to Alexanderson in the front, although I thought Pia Youngvik was actually the best of those athletes, cutting across the courtyard, cutting across the square. A good choice for her, but we're back with Alexanderson in the lead, and they're back out into the streets now. They've got to dive into some alleyways. They've got some barriers they've got to avoid on this one. This is 2 to 3. They go into the courtyard here. They will probably go just around and then straight back out the other side again is my... Oh, actually, no, they won't. They're going to cut through, and I think they've all got the best route choice to this section, actually.
Well, I think Tove Alexanderson has got the best route choice in this control, and I don't blame any of the other athletes in this semi-final. That is going to be a characteristic here. When you have someone of her quality and a tricky route choice in front of you, you would have to be unbelievably brave to try and take her on. It's early in the race as well. There's no need for the athletes further behind to take a risk just yet. So Tove Alexanderson picking a good route, and 5 girls following.
Yeah, we do think this is the best of all of them. You just see Pia Youngvik maybe not quite got the pace to match all of the others. She's in 6th place. She is off the back of this group. They're on their way to control number 3 now, approaching from the south. We've opened...
Oh, a hesitation from both Norwegians there. That's Victoria Heistad Bjornstad, who was closer up to Pia Youngvik, but they've both spotted a nice little cut through in the church here, actually. That's an interesting feature to today's races. It's open in this round. It'll be closed for the final, so they better not get too familiar. Will it pay off for those two who hesitated early? Well, Tove Alexanderson out in front now, as we said she might be. And yes, well, actually, that has worked out quite nicely for at least one of the Norwegians. I can't see exactly which one it is from here. My guess would be that it is Victoria Heistad Bjornstad, but Tove Alexanderson has, having been leading the group in a pack, now opened up a big lead.
Yeah, this is the 4th control then. It's quite simple, these 3rd, 4th, 5th controls before the big route choice. Janashikova back in 4th. Olsen still doing a great job. Bovic just dropping back in the pack as well here. And Pia Youngvik into 6th place. But look at that, a 5-second gap between Alexanderson and Heistad Bjornstad. They were all together at number 2. It's now number 4. There's a 5-second gap, and that is what Tove Alexanderson can do.
She has put her foot down. Perhaps because she was navigating that leg, she could anticipate the turns a little bit, but also a big factor of that is just going to be that she is lightning quick. Although we see as they come onto the Royal Mile that Tove Alexanderson has slowed down a little bit to do a bit of map reading, because this semi-final course is so technical, and actually running away with it if you don't stay ahead of yourself on the map is not going to cut it.
Yeah, so they've just punched control number 5. They're heading east along the street, then down, cutting through the alleyways. They will go back up onto the main street. So I think this is the Royal Mile, and avoiding the barrier that you can just see on the left of picture there. Then this will be really interesting to see this next picture as they avoid the people out on the streets here in Edinburgh. You can still see Alexanderson in the lead, but not by as much here. It's closed up again. Heistad Bjornstad in 2nd place, Olsen in the next one. And now this is incredibly interesting because they've got to go through the shop.
They can't believe they have no idea what to do here. Tove Alexanderson did not see that shop was open. The marshal, I think, basically trying to wave her into it, but they just can't believe that they have opened up a shop that has caused havoc, and the group has all come back together. They are literally running it through an office building here. No one will have prepared for this. That much is very clear. And it's just about who can deal with that little shock there. Quite an interesting route choice that's been opened up on this leg 5 to 6. And I'm sure we'll see more of that in the later heats as well.
Yeah, I absolutely can. So a decision was made to put some branding and a marshal there to kind of show, yes, this is the cut through you're looking for. But big dramas here on this, and they've all taken the best route choice then, at least the best kind of a good cut through, no execution errors, at least we can see as they go in towards control number 6. Only a few controls to go now. Here's number 6, and it is Alexanderson, Bovir, Heistad Bjornstad, Olsen, Janashikova. They split up here.
Different route choices here. Janashikova's gone off a different way, I think.
Which is the better route choice? You want to go back and see?
This
it is 7 to 8. I think you actually want to continue along, and I think it's good.
Yeah,
in fact, they're going on
this is what we saw pre-run.
The second best route, I think, a lot of these athletes.
Now, this route choice is fine, but you do have to be a little bit careful not to make an execution error. It does look like they have got through it unscathed, though. We don't know which route Teresa Yanashikova took, so will she enter this picture from an unusual direction? I don't know. But
yeah, she may do. She'll come from the left. With Bovir into second, then Bjornstad, then Olsen, then Yanashikova just in there. And no problem here for Alexanderson, Maëlle Bovir, and the others really close together. And this is like where orienteering becomes a contact sport. And this is the run in here. Olsen pushing Bovir out of the way there. But I don't think either of them are going to get through. It might be another one where we need a photo finish because it's absolutely fine for Alexanderson. But Olsen and Heistad Bjornstad on the line. I'm going to guess. Oh, it's been... Well, no, they've been given exactly the same time. And I think that
only
was
2 to go through in these rounds, so only one of them will survive. We might have to get the photo finish out. I could also potentially see a protest against Caroline Olsen there. That was pretty physical as they came around the corner. And you can hear Bovir really not very happy about what's happened at the bottom of the run-in there. So we will see what the referee has to say about that. Not the first physicality we've seen on this run-in. Interesting scenes in the middle of that race there. None of those girls were expecting the shot front. I think good to see that it affected all of them evenly.
Although did it? I don't know. I wonder if that's what Yanashikova is shaking her head about because, yeah, that's really not what we've had before, and it doesn't look like you can kind of go through. Very, very interesting stuff. They all kind of ran past it. Let's have a little recap then of the routes. All staying together for most of the race. In fact, for nearly all of the race, aside from control number 2. And so all together at this point, all very, very close. Some of the trackers going slightly different ways. A mistake here from Alexanderson. We saw at the bottom of those steps, and no problem going around towards the top. Different route choices here, and it was the ones who went further towards the north. So Yanashikova, Bjornstad, who lost, and Bovir, who lost some time in that. Then back through the alleyways here.
This is where Alexanderson opened up a big gap on, well, a 5-second gap on the rest of the field. She just have that extra quality. The 2 Norwegians cutting through the churchyard to bring themselves back into proceedings to number 3. And then a bit more group running. We saw Alexanderson slow right down at control 5, the ceramic animal on the Royal Mile, as it all bunched together before this pivotal route choice to number 6. But of course, they in fact all took the same route. You can see here the confusion outside the wedding venue shop before Teresa Yanashikova took a different route from 6 to 7, and that ultimately costly for the Czech athlete.
Yeah, we think her route was slower than 6 till 7, and that popped her right back. But it was easy in the end for Alexanderson, and I think that's Olsen through as well. We're going to have to get the photo finish on that one. I think it's probably good enough for Caroline Olsen.
Yeah, hard to tell.
We
will see.
Yeah, there we go. I think the advance has been given to Caroline Olsen. So 2 Swedes progress from this first semi-final. But her and Olsen given exactly the same time. So very, very interesting, this first semi-final. First of 3 with first 2 to advance into the final. Next up then, here is semi-final number 2. You can see the list there. And we've got, again, some big names here. Natalia Gempela, having made lots and lots of finals, is quite used to this. Over on the left, though, the defending silver medalist in this knockout sprint, Megan Carter-Davies. So you're taking a big, deep breath on the line there. Natalia Gempela from Switzerland, already got a medal at these championships. Eveli Karsaku here from Estonia, a Forest medalist, European medalist. Ida Egvig Christensen from Denmark as well. She had a fantastic result in her quarterfinal. Ven Lahayu as well. And we know Eve van Dongen can finish very, very quickly on that run-in. We'll see if she has to do it again here at the final stages of this race.
Yeah, interesting body language there from some of the girls on the line. I think they all looked pretty stressed to me, and you would be, because this is the semi-final of the World Orienteering Championship. Who will make it through? 2 to go through. as we get towards the start of this second semi-final.
There we go. They start here and unfurl their maps. You can see big deep breaths being taken by some of these athletes, and they take their first chance to look at the map and what the course shows. You can see all of them absolutely looking down at the map, heads in the map, but it is Carter Davies who takes the lead here at the start of this second of the 3 semi-finals. And she will now start the run out towards the first control, towards the start triangle as well. They go through the courtyards, they emerge out onto the street, and we'll see from our drone which direction they head here. They come out towards the actual start point. That is the start triangle, and straight out onto the course. No problems here. And I think, as we might expect, we've seen Carter Davies running courses and trying to be in the lead a lot for me.
Yeah, similar in some ways in strategy, at least, to Tove Alexanderson. Of course, we have 2 medalists from last time in this heat. We also have Aoife van Dongen, but that is a very different style for her. No surprise to see her towards the back of the pack. She will look to sit and kick, and ooh.
No,
wow.
That's absolutely fine for her to go. Well, I don't know. You go up and down though, actually, if you do that.
Yeah, I mean, both routes are fairly respectable. Just interesting to see the 2nd to 6th athletes choosing to back away from the route of Megan Carter Davies there. It won't be pivotal, but you know, it tells you something about how they are approaching this race as well. As we say, they all come together at this first control. Big hesitation, which doesn't make a lot of sense because the second control is really not particularly technical. As we see the Danish athlete choosing to run alone here, possibly on a very slightly quicker route choice, but again, in these early stages, not a lot in it as long as you're picking a viable route choice.
So it's shorter, but she's gone up those steps. As you can see there, all the others will take the climb on the slope where it tends to be better, but they'll group up again here as they just come out of these works here. And is that the lead then for the day?
Oh, it is actually. That route choice has worked out quite nicely there for either.
Oh no, the others are going to come up this section here.
Okay,
yeah,
a different variation. And yes, it all comes back together. Now, we did see in the first semi-final an opportunity to lose time right at the end of this second leg, depending on which way you go around that square building that the control is on. And yes, we do have the same split again. I can't pick from the drone shot who those two to the right are, but they are on the slower
going to the right.
Van Dongen has done something slightly odd here. She has climbed up the steps. She didn't need to do that. She will get back onto a respectable route choice, but she's lost time by not taking that diagonal properly across the square.
But it's so high stress for these athletes in this position as they split up, they come back together, and I thought we would see some of this.
It's so hard to find a route that goes through. They've all jogged off as if they know what they're doing. Megan Carter Davies taking another second to look at the map. And, well, those first 2 controls pretty much void as they leave altogether. So which route will they take on this technical 3rd control?
Honestly, just spotting these routes is hard enough, to be honest. And they're heading out onto the street. Will they go
they've picked
the same way?
Same route, I think, that Tove Alexanderson and the group did in the first semi-final. We know that this is a good route. I'm not sure who that was jumping up onto the grass there. That is a legitimate thing to do, I suppose. And so we join Aoife van Dongen and I believe the Swiss athlete chasing down Megan Carter Davies.
Yes, they will go out very shortly onto the road again. You can see again one of the Danish athletes to the right taking a different route here. They will again drop all the way left down to the road and go back in through the church. You can see, I think that's all of the athletes accounted for here. We can count the 6 of them as they go through all together here at this point. We've got, yeah, I think we can see, yeah, all 6 of them in the picture there, all together.
No one picks a diagonal through the churchyard there.
Oh no, they all picked that.
Oh, sorry, they all do. I thought they'd all run straight past it, but no, they've all picked it, so it will not be decisive in this semi-final, as they are all still together as we come to the end of this first route choice leg at number 3. Megan Carter Davies leading the pack, Ida Egevik Christiansen slightly off the back, and now we have differences to the 4th control, and the athletes that we're following here have taken a longer route, but it doesn't have any of the steps of the other route, and so we think it might actually be a little bit quicker, even though it's 10 metres longer. Here is Venla Hayu punching in. Well, actually, the pack going the other way has got a small advantage there against the expectations of our pre-runners, but it's still very bunched. Ida Egevik Christiansen and Eveli Karsaku possibly just dropping off a little bit now. 4 seconds is not nothing in the knockout sprint format.
So up towards control number 5 next, and then the big old route choice where we have that cut through the shop, through the events company shop. They will punch number 5. It's just in the distance there. It's one of the animals again we've seen throughout the course here. And actually, they're all going to go. Are they all going to go towards the north here? So they're going to go towards the north, cutting through the back lanes to go round this section of the barriers, and then they've still got a choice which way they actually go into the 6th control itself. They could stick further towards the west and come in and approach the control from the north, or they could cut through that section of the shop and approach the control from the south. So still lots of route choices to make as they head back out onto the main road. They've avoided the barriers here.
Will they perhaps split here? Will anyone take that further left option? That is slow if they do so. Our 3 leaders heading down towards the events company shop. They'll have their eyes up. Where on earth is this canopy? Can they see it? Hopefully they will see the advertising hoarding and be led into it. Yes, much smoother on this semi-final.
There's the tape there. I don't know whether we saw it last time. I think it might have been added, but no problems here for this route. And it is Megan Carter-Davies, Eve van Dongen and Natalia Gempler here. Only 2 to go through. Still lots of execution still to do on this route. Oh, it's very, very tricky. Very small gaps. Yeah. Lots of steps everywhere. Loads and loads of detail on the map. But here they go in towards the university accommodation. They've got to take those steps just up there. Carter-Davies, Van Dongen and Gempler. No problems for these 3. Unclear how further back the others are.
Yeah, if they've taken that further left route choice, then, well, they haven't. You can see actually in our picture now, they are just a little bit off the pace, but it's still very, very close as we come to the end of that 6th leg. Designed to be decisive, but in this heat at least, only Ida Egevic Christiansen really looks to be out of it so far.
Okay, we can see those 3 in the lead then, only for 2 places. They've got to be careful here on the execution.
Oh,
and this is a mistake here. And they've got to go back down the steps and check. The planners thought they might make a mistake here.
I think that's Venla Harju of Finland, the beneficiary of that mistake. Very hard to tell from this drone shot.
I think you are correct. Here she is into the lead. Then Megan Carter-Davies in 2nd place. Then Gempler. Then Everly Karsekun. Eve van Dongen off the back. Only 1 more to control to go after this. They better check that they've got the punch here. And it's only 2 to go through. You can see Gempler
and Van Dongen, but Van Dongen is really quick at the finish. Can Megan Carter-Davies get in front of Natalia Gempler on this run-in? It's going to be really, really tight. Venla Harju now fading a little bit as they come into the final control.
Yeah, let's see who's able to make it towards the line quickest. Yeah, Venla Harju, Natalia Gempler, Megan Carter-Davies all going to try and cross the line here. Let's see who makes it to the free first. I think Gempler is out of it.
Yeah, and as usual, no celebrations at all here in our non-partisan commentary box. Megan Carter-Davies has, we think, made it through there with Venla Harju. Probably deserves it after not making that execution error. Yeah, hugs at the finish line for Megan Carter-Davies. She will be, we believe, in the final once again. Natalia Gempler just missing out by a shade. Eve van Dongen, well, maybe she spent all of the speed that she has getting through to the semi-final in that massive sprint finish she had in the quarter. Maybe just didn't have the gas to do it twice in one day. Natalia Gempler, well, you know,
she's almost apologising for the camera there. Oh, bless her.
She knows
she
was so close, and that's a shame for her. But it was not to be for the Swiss.
Okay. Whew. Let's calm down here in the commentary box. My pulse is rising because this is very, very exciting here. Lots of few micro route choices taken here, but it basically brings them all back together at this point when they get towards control number 2 into this courtyard here, back out again. No problems really for the teams here. Again, we see the likes of Carter-Davies, we see Gempler near the front, as we would expect, up through this section. Different route choices to 4, going through. It's a beautiful courtyard. It's a shame we don't have a camera through it. It's very overgrown and wild, but also beautiful. Loads of flowers in there. We saw from pre-running. Slightly different routes through here, but ultimately, I think the signage of the shop was maybe slightly better done at that point. And then out into control 6, and then at this execution point, they just kept going around up the steps instead of going down and taking that bend. That put Harju into the mix.
And pivotal, I think, because Venla Harju probably would not, well, certainly, I'm afraid, would not have been my pick for a sprint finish from those 6. So just keep orienteering right to the very end, and you might just make it through. Here we see in slow motion that sprint finish. So close. Natalia Gempler just didn't quite have enough at the end.
Absolutely, and it is Carter Davies and Haryu through. Who would have thought that it would be Gempela to miss out on that qualification in this second of the three quarter-finals. And again, it's all about positioning. Haryu able to take advantage of the mistake, doing her own orienteering at the very end, where everybody else maybe just had that instruction to themselves. They just needed to keep going. But Venla Haryu and Megan Carter-Davies join Tove Alexanderson and Caroline Olsen in the final. Only 2 more spots up for grabs in the third.
What a final that is shaping up to be. 4 names that you would be pretty concerned to be coming up against, but that is the task that will face those in the third women's quarter-final. 2 of them to go through and join the final.
And they are lined up on the start line. I can see from our drone shot here, we have got 6 athletes to make it through. Our big favourites, I think, Hannah Lundberg and Simona Abersold from this heat. Simona Abersold, you know, she was second in the knockout sprint earlier this season. She was in the final in Denmark 2 years ago at the World Championships. She is good runner, but so too Hannah Lundberg. Neri Gonzalez, you know, she's got to think, she's got to have her heart in the game. She was absolutely delighted to qualify too. Isia Basse is having a brilliant World Championship. She was on the top 10 in the individual sprints, but here is the individual silver medalist. She desperately wants another world title. She's got 1 in the bag already. Cécile Calandre, 2 French athletes in this one. Again, fantastic to see the French team doing so well. And 2 Swiss athletes as well. I was really impressed with Paula Gross. You know, we haven't often seen her maybe competing at this level. Yeah, obviously she's almost a cert for a World Cup team, but great to see her in this semi-final. And the tension builds here in the arena for this third and final quarter-final. Top 2 to make it through. They get their first chance to look at the map. Isia Basse, Hannah Lundberg towards the start here, and they check that again, all reading their maps. Look at that, Simona Abersold.
Not looking at the map.
She looks cool, calm, and collected, and she knows she needs to stay relaxed and not panic in this, which is so much easier said than done.
Finally, she dignifies going through the sprint map with a little look. But yes, this looks like a slower start than we've seen in some of the other heats. Like you said on the start line, Simona Abersold and Hannah Lundberg, the hot favourites to make it out of this race. Either of them going out would be a big surprise. But we have seen from all of the other 4 the expertise to make it out of a quarter-final at least. So how will this unfold as they come towards our first control? Not too much in the way of route choice here. We did see Megan Carter-Davies take a different route on the previous semi-final.
Oh, this looks slow to me.
Yeah.
They're all in a big group here. Nobody's really choosing to push the pace. Simona Abersold is backing herself to make it through on this one for the orienteering. But Cécile Calandre's got herself in a great position. So too has Gonzalez, the Spaniard. And again, no surprises. Everybody going the same way to this control. No problem.
I wonder if this slow start, it is desperately slow, will cause an opportunity for people to take different route choices later in the race, because they should be using this time to read ahead on the map. If they're not doing that, that's a big missed opportunity, because, I mean, this is not the same pace that we saw in the previous 2 semi-finals that were led out by Tove Alexanderson and Megan Carter-Davies. Simona Abersold could have used the same strategy in this race. She has the reputation to do so, but has clearly chosen not to, and that is leading to this slightly slower pace, although it is beginning to accelerate now. They've all taken the same route choice into number 2, and I wonder, unlike the previous semi-final, whether we'll see them flow through number 2 onto a more assured route choice on the tricky long leg cutting across the Royal Mile to number 3.
Ooh, Cécile Calandre thinks about going another way. Isia Basse does go another way. She just cuts through a little bit earlier on. Oh, I don't think that's good, though.
No, I don't think that's good at all from Isia Basse. Now, we saw this pay off for her at the end of her quarter-final. She kind of ducked in just in time, but I think this is going to cost her to take this different route here.
But if it's going so slow, I wonder if
She's slowed right down again.
But then actually, she should just be coming there. There is
a bit of separation.
Not quicker. Here. You get the opportunity to cut the angle going across the square here, and you don't with the route that Isia Basse.
Yeah, you save enough meters that it's really worthwhile, and that you know, that gamble from Isia Basse probably not needed at this stage of the race, and it hasn't really paid off, but it's so slow, and I think it could all come back together anyway as they begin this long leg. Well, Isia Basse won't see the route choice of these girls if she doesn't get a bit of a move on.
Well, we say it's slow, and I mean, we could be proved wrong because we've not got any time splits up yet, but it just feels very calm in this pack, actually. That's what it does, and it's obviously very strange to be running alongside people. Nobody's talking, nobody's making any kind of moves there.
Route choice here from Hannah Lundberg, turns in earlier. Just a micro route choice. The group comes back together. Yeah, in this section from 2 to 3, they're again on the same route that we've seen in both of the semi-finals, in fact. There is the opportunity to make up the odd meter here or there, cutting across the grass, jumping across the ball, that sort of thing, which can mix up the race. This was the section where we saw Tove Alexanderson open up a huge lead in her semi-final as, we have athletes coming in from a different angle there. That is Nelia Gonzalez, who I think has suffered a little bit from her sort of micro route through this area.
But still, the 5 athletes pretty much close together, maybe with Gonzalez just dropping off the back here, but it is still Abersold in the lead. The others are happy to let her lead. Hannah Lundberg moved her way through into second place, Kalondri into third, Paolo Gross in fourth. And for the moment, this is kind of an order that I would expect. They're cutting through the church, no problems here whatsoever. This third control is coming up on their left just after they go around that corner itself. Gonzalez still on the back though, and this is where we can see them coming out. They all actually go this Carter Davies route through the courtyards. It is not a bad one to choose at all. It's a little bit more difficult to execute because there's lots of kind of detail on the map
and detail
here.
on the ground, and it was reckoned by our pre-runners to be a little bit slower, but we're talking 1 or 2 seconds, and obviously if all 6 athletes go the same way, it doesn't make much difference. Possibly Isia Basse will come from a weird angle here, but I think, to be honest, she might be out of this race. These 5 though, all very close together, just 2 seconds in it at this 4th control.
As they climb up the alleyway again on their way towards control number 5. Out on the street, and here they are. Just will make a turn here. Then let's have a look. You can see Basse is a little bit further behind the others, and then they've got to make their route choice then towards the next control. We watch them here. They're going to take the same route as that first quarterfinal, I think. They go down this very interestingly lit
jazzy
route.
little underpass here.
Yeah, we noticed that on our pre-running. It was quite interesting to run through, a little bit of something extra.
Athletes probably won't have time to pay much attention to it, but it makes a nice visual for the telly, if nothing else.
They will be so focused, won't they? They will not notice anything.
No.
Their map, where they're going, maybe who's around them.
But only the minimum of detail that they can get away with. And I wonder actually if that kind of simplification is what made this underpass hard to see in the first round that we saw. You're just not expecting it to look the way that it does. And yeah, just trying to cut down on the noise. You're not going to be looking at shop fronts. Obviously, they've all made it through comfortably here. 5 athletes through the wedding venue. Someone's still at work. I don't think he quite knows what's going on behind him.
But no, I think we've got that tape there, a little bit more tape suggesting, so it's showing the athletes that they can go through there, and it's not caused a problem like we had on that first semi-final at all. So round the bottom of the routes here, they're on their way towards control number 6. Here we go then. It looks like still Hannah Lundberg in the lead, then Simona Abersold, then Cecile Calandri, then Paula Gross, then Nelia Gonzalez at the 5th spot here. So they round this corner on their way to the 6th. You can just about catch it there. No problems here with this route choice. They all seem very, very well prepared. It's incredible to see this level of orienteering at this high level, the speed they are going. Honestly, it will take a lot of people, you know, as long as they're running the course, just to figure out the routes that they should go. This is where we had an execution problem in the the second semi-final. No problems for these athletes here. We're going to catch them at the 7th
I think
control.
have a bit of separation for our front 2 athletes here, and it's exactly who we expected. Hannah Lundberg and Simona Abersold. Cecile Calandri is still just about in the mix, but she's going to need to finish really, really hard here to keep up.
Oh, sneaky climb of the steps for Abersold. She goes in just ahead of Hannah Lundberg there. Attacks up those steps. It's going to be very exciting to see those two. And Abersold has put herself exactly where she wants to be. Here's the fight up the section here. Oh,
Cécile Calandre
is attacking on the outside.
Slingshots around the outside. It is going to be fast enough. She is ahead of Hannah Lundberg.
Oh.
Wow, well, she's got ahead of Simona Aebersold. That is a fast finish. Cécile Calandre can't believe it. I can barely believe it. Hannah Lundberg is devastated. Oh my, I did not pick that. No one, I don't think, saw that coming. As Nerea Gonzalez and Paula Gross finish. Cécile Calandre, what a run.
She left something in the tank there. She knew exactly when to accelerate. That is devastating. Absolutely devastating turn of pace. And you... Yeah,
I don't think we've ever seen that from Cécile Calandre before. That is really interesting and might mix things up a little bit for the final if Simona at least knows that she has that in the tank. I mean, that is, yeah, that is not what I expected to see when she came into that final control half a second behind or whatever it was. She's done really, really well there. Something for the fans as we see the order change on the run-in again in another race today. We've seen it a lot up this slightly inclined, not particularly long run-in up St. John Street, but yeah, it's causing some upsets at the end of these knockout rounds.
It's a little bit longer, I think, than some of the run-ins we've seen recently, and it being uphill, but just that acceleration. As this is one when we saw Basset make this route choice, she dropped off the back quite early on. She was already out of it, no chance to make it through to the qualification. Here again, very simple routes, great route choice here. I think all of the women choosing this route, we think it's the best from what our course setter has said, which is great. Fantastic problems here. And actually, the course setter wanted to give them an opportunity to read this route choice to number 6. It's so hard to see. You can basically only get to number 6 from the north and the south, all of them going in the same way. Much better to see the cut through the shop here, or changing kind of order. Aebersold goes into the lead, up the steps towards control number 7. But Calandre slingshots her way into the lead, up the run-in. But these athletes now have less time now to recover for the final, and could that pose a difference? Yeah, well, that's why we see athletes tending to pick the earlier on quarterfinals to get an earlier semi-final, to have as much recovery as possible before their final. These girls, well, it may not have been the quickest of starts, but my goodness me, the end of that race was lightning fast. Cécile Calandre, the beneficiary of that close finish. But yeah, is that going to be too much lactic in the legs with, well, what is it, about an hour to go before they have to run their World Championships final? It's not the preparation that I would choose. So for these athletes making it through, so Cécile Calandre and Simona Aebersold joining Tove Alexanderson, Carolyn Olsen, Megan Carter-Davies and Venla Harju. Those will be the 6 to make it through to the final, and it's going to be super... Yeah, it's going to be super tight. These athletes do 30, 40 kilometres in the whole day. They've got 4 races. The amount of warming up, cooling down that happens as well, that is, you know, really... It is a lot, but they will be. They know they'll do several, you know, multi-day sessions to make it to kind of practice. And we think of sprinters as being, you know, slightly shorter distance. The training doesn't quite look like it does for those doing the long distance. But actually, yeah, the mileage that you tick up over the course of a knockout day, especially if you make it to the final, can be as far as a classic distance race. And it does just add an extra dimension. I mean, also, there's lots of planning that has to go into your nutrition and your recovery. Just planning a whole day of knockout sprint is stressful in and of itself. And then you find yourself in a shootout on the line like we did there. What a day it is for anyone making it through to the final. Okay, let's move on to the men's races. We're going to recap some of these quarterfinals that took place slightly earlier on today. Just over a couple of hours ago was this quarterfinal number 3, just about an hour and a half ago, in fact. And here we can see the athletes on the very last part of the race. We're behind Johnny Crickmore. We had Alvaro Casado in the lead there as well. We've got Tim Robertson. Thomas Haekler at this point had made a mistake over in the left of picture somewhere. He was out of it. He's actually one of the favourites for this race. Yeah, absolutely. And you see here Johnny Crickmore just dropping back. But watch here. This is incredibly interesting. Matthias Petter there, and he just goes the wrong way at that point. You need to head up these steps. That puts Robertson in the lead, Casado in second, and slingshots Johnny Crickmore into 3rd place. Johnny Crickmore's, you can see his knee is strapped up. He has not had a good time from injury. It was a question mark about whether he would even race this, but he was able to do that sprint finish. He is absolutely delighted to make that third, and actually maybe a surprise to see both Nathan Lawson and Thomas Hakeler knocked out of this stage. Hakeler absolutely gutted. This is the men's quarter-final number 5. Emil Svensk, one of the favourites here. Francesco Mariani as well. And then they all go through here. Very, very close together. All of the athletes very, very close at this section with only a couple of controls still to go. And then still very neck and neck. We've got Svensk, we've got Mariani, we've got Hubacek and Rankin side by side. Kimmeler just a little bit back from it here. You can see the Italian there in the black vest. Just taking small looks at his map, but he doesn't quite get the entrance here right, and he has to drop back, and then one mistake like that, you're into 5th place. You can't afford to do this near the end. And then 4 athletes for only 3 spots then here right at the very final section of the race. Emil Svensk, no problems from him, although he's not quite sure exactly where this control is. There it is, up in the wet ground here. And you can see these 3 guys battling it out for 2 places. And you can see they're both getting in each other's way. Ooh, down, but we can say that there was a protest that was put in by the Finnish team, and Mika Kimmeler has been advanced to the semi-finals. So he is in there in the semi-final. Let's have another look then. This is quarter-final number 6. And we can see Yannick Mikkels made mistakes early on, then took a fantastic route choice along with Timo Oksanen, the Finn, and it catapulted them back into the lead. Let's have a look here on the final section. A couple of controls still to go. It was Mikkels in the lead, then Oksanen. Then we had the Norwegian Jürgen Backlid. Then we had the French athlete Adrien Delaine. Austrian is Janis Bonek, and then Henry McNulty in 6th. So all 6 athletes still together at this point. It shows how close it is for all of them, despite really quite poor executions of these races by all of the athletes involved. Then down the steps towards the last control, back up again. And Oksanen in the lead at this point. Then it was Backlid, and then watch as they come round this corner, because you can see Bonek is really barging, really attacking on that corner. Just manages to sneak ahead of Yannick Mikkels. He pumps his arms all the way to the line. Easy work for Oksanen and for Backlid. Bonek into 3rd. And the news is that Mikkels has been advanced after a protest as well. We have a referee system. I think something like he was judged to have been obstructed here.
I think he was obstructed by Janis Bonek, and you saw at the finish there his pretty angry reaction towards the Austrian. They will be in the same semi-final round here in the men's half of this knockout sprint. See how they interact throughout the semi-final. Hopefully no more physicality between the 2 of them, but who really knows?
So yeah, so we had 2 advancements, Mika Kimmeler and Yannick Mikkels, and that means, as you can see here on the graphics, we have 2 semi-finals where there are 7 athletes. The first one with 6, the second 2 with 7, and we will talk about the first one right about now. Timo Suter there. This is the only race he is running at these championships. He had great results back in the World Cup on home soil in Switzerland. Casper Fosser, then he had some good route choices in his quarter-final. He's able to make it through into the semis. Joey Haddon, possibly one of those in the favourites. He won the knockout sprint in Switzerland only a couple of months ago. Loic Catburn, one to watch out for as well. He seems to be particularly good at this discipline. He's made some finals before. In fact, he was 5th at the World Champs 2 years ago. And Jonathan Gustafsson, one of the most consistent guys. If you're going to have consistency in knockout sprint, he is it, because he has got world and European medals at this discipline, as well as a 2nd place from Switzerland a couple of months ago. So just seconds to go then before our first semi-final of 3. Only 2 to make it through to the final.
Yeah. Big names in this semi-final, as of course there will be in all of them. You don't get through to these semi-finals without more than a touch of world class. Jonathan Gustafsson, for me, probably the favourite to make it out of here. Kasper Fosser, you never bet against him, but actually knockout sprint, maybe not quite his specialty. Kasper has the stats, but not getting through to as many finals as maybe his name would suggest, as we see them come out onto the Royal Mile. On this
the last three we've had, so the Switzerland early this year, the world champs in Denmark, European champs last year. Fosser hasn't made it through to the final. Last time he made it through to the final, looking back on my notes, was World Cup 2022 in Borås, ahead of those Danish World Championships. So actually maybe not
it's
good.
A huge mistake. Whoa. Well, Thomas Krivder's out of the race, I think, for me already. He has gone through a passageway you cannot get out there. I thought Timo Suter had made the mistake actually running past it, but no, he is gone. And, well, barring some kind of miracle. Okay, there's a lot of running still to do. There are two big route choices where he can make up time, but that is a huge mistake from Thomas Krivder very early on in the race. You do not want to do that as an athlete. It's so hard to get back onto the pack.
Basically, he kind of went in one option too soon. Maybe he thought he was going in there, or maybe he thought there was a way through. It's hard to know and hard to get into his head, but that is it. Krivder, there's no way back unless this whole pack makes a mistake, which, to be honest, these courses are so technical, anything could happen. Really, I think this is the most technical World Championships we've seen.
Yeah, and I count almost 10 seconds back to Thomas Krivder as they come around the corner of that building, so very difficult for the Czech athlete to make it back up to the top. One of the names who you might have thought would be mixing it here, but it's hard to see that now. Now, Kasper Fosser is leading this train with Jonathan Gustafsson, Loic Capburn, and Timo Suter in tow. Timo Suter taking a slightly different line across this square that has cost him half a second on micro route choice. I don't think he'll be too worried about that.
Joey Hadorn back in the pack, but we've seen him do this quite a bit, actually. We saw him do this in the quarterfinal as well.
Yeah, he's willing to just sit off in the early stages. One of the most physical athletes on the men's side. He knows that he can back his speed in the second half of a knockout race. So he's happy to have that small gap for now. That is not a sign of any lack of speed on his part as this train departs and goes back past Thomas Krivder, and this is tough for him now to see them coming backwards.
This is control number 2 then, just to remind you if you're looking at the tracking at home as well, having the map side by side with the pictures here. So Krivder leaving number 2, and this is again where we've got a good old route choice. Most of them have stayed to their left of the line, to the right as we see on the picture here, to the southeast of the line, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be no different here as they head through these courtyards. A lot of this section part of the university opened up especially by the organisers just so it's become more unexpected then for these athletes. So they head down the street, are going to approach control number 3 from the south, either going through the church or up the small alley as well. And we can see Gustafsson a little bit further back here. Things start to open up actually as the road gets bigger. They've got to avoid this taxi here. That is not easy work then as they go through the courtyards on their way to control number 3. We've got our next time check at control number 4. And a static camera there to follow them as they go through the courtyard. And I think our running camera operator's struggling to keep up with these men. I mean, such is the speed that they're going.
Yeah, and if they've noticed, well, they will have noticed because they've run past him, Krivder off the back, that gives them a little bit more incentive to keep pushing the pace, make it a 5-man race instead of 6. Everyone's happier that way. Interesting from Joey Hadorn to still be sitting at the back as Kasper begins to string this out a little bit. And I don't think we've seen this route choice taken much to 5. I don't think it's terrible, but it's definitely slower than the way that we saw, I think, all of the girls' heats going and popping out of the canopy to the east or to the right of number 5. We'll see here on the tracking, they come left. We think the better route choice is right. They've all done it. It doesn't make much odds. It
does, though, have better flow for both 4 and 5, and I think maybe these guys are prioritising that.
Yeah, and actually at the speed they're going, flow is even even more important. Oh, goodness me. I did not catch which Swiss athlete that was. Timo Suter or Joey Hadorn. We think Timo Suter has run past number 5. I think he will have seen the others go through it. I think he'll have to turn back.
I think he'll have had to turn back.
We didn't see it on the pictures, but I suspect he's going to turn back. He'll lose time from that, quite a lot of time at the pace that these guys are going. So that could be a second athlete now having to chase down this front pack of Kasper Fosser, Jonathan Gustafsson, Loic Capburn and Joey Hadorn. we suspect, and they have taken this northern route choice out of number 5 to number 6. Not the best, but it's actually pretty even with the other route choice that comes through the middle and then through the event organising shop.
Yes, yes. So this canopy then on the ways from 5 to 6 south of the line is just a shop that they've opened up to go in the front door and out the back door, and they've seemed to manage that okay because they're now out of the back door and doing a pretty good job here. But you can see Gustafsson off the back there of that group. We can see ahead we've got Fossa, we've got Catburn, we've got Gustafsson, and we've got Hadorn. And
yeah,
you know, these guys are great on their sprint finishes, so anything could happen.
That's very true. A surprise for me, though, that Gustafsson, well, he's back up in the pack now, but you wouldn't expect him to fall off the back of the pace here. Kasper Fossa opening up a little gap, good technical running from him.
Joey Hadorn knows exactly when to move forwards through the group, and he has done it again. It's really hard to pass in these small alleyways, but he has done it. He has pulled himself up into second position. Yeah, you can see Suter.
Suter's gone. He is out of this race, so it is a 4-man race now with Suter and Thomas Krivda out to their respective areas. Here they come then, 4 competitors into the 7th control. Ooh. I believe. Ooh.
And they actually go back down the steps. I wasn't expecting that. None of the others have done that, but that is Hadorn straight into the lead. Gustafsson into second and Fossa in third.
There's an artificial barrier here if they're not careful. I mean, they need to take the first left. Maybe they'll do so.
Yeah, they should be fine. Here they go. And Hadorn in the lead. We've got Gustafsson into second, and I think they are clear of the others. It's hard to see on the picture, but Hadorn and Gustafsson.
Gustafsson slows for the line. That's cheeky. Kasper Fossa just can't do it in knockout sprint. And, well, yeah, like you said, Joey Hadorn knows exactly how to manage this sort of race. And Jonathan Gustafsson, he's done it again as well. Like you said in the preview, as consistent as you can really be at getting into finals at this level, apart from obviously Matthias Gebertz, didn't fancy it this year. But yeah, Jonathan Gustafsson goes into the final possibly as a favourite as we catch up with those two who were dropped earlier on. Thomas Krivda has actually overtaken Timo Suter, but yes, it will be a disappointment for both of these athletes.
Yeah, too many mistakes in route choice and in the execution then by these guys. It's just dropped them. Like one mistake, that's it. Your race is over. You're absolutely gone. And it was Krivda's mistake, right?
It was Krivda's mistake, you know, almost straight out of the start, Kai. I mean, that is heartbreaking to make it to a World Championships semi-final and then bin it within 30 seconds of the flag. That's tough. Timo Suter made it round with the pack a little bit longer. And yeah, you can see crosses the line well. You know, what can you do? He didn't see that control up at the top of the Royal Mile on number 5, and that has cost him.
And I think he also went a longer route choice around towards control number 6 as well. Yeah, absolutely gutting then. So we will... Yeah, have a look at the route choices here. Look at Krivda.
Oh, it's tough to watch it back, and our running cameraman went with him just to, you know, rub salt into the wound. You can rewind and watch Thomas Krivda enter his World Championships if you so desire. Kasper Fossa led the train for much of this race. That superior orienteering skill he has. But as we just saw, it was not enough for him to qualify from this heat, even though he has done a lot of the heavy lifting for these guys. There's control 5 that Timo Suter missed, then took a different route choice to 6, maybe in a bid to catch up, but it wasn't enough. He was off the pace and gone. Coming into the last few controls, they reversed out of control 7, something we haven't seen from many others, and then it was just about raw pace from there to the finish. Jonathan Gustafsson and Joey Hadorn, the fastest 2 men in this heat, and they have advanced.
Yeah, and it just shows you don't need to be in the lead the whole way round, especially on the men's route. You can just time that kick to perfection, work through the pack, still have some gas in your legs at the end, and again, this is particularly where those who are better at those shorter distances, like Gustafsson, they just have that kick. And to have that still left in your legs after all the races we've done today, incredible. And just 0.1 of a second then between the top 2, Kasper Fossa run out of it, and then a minute back to Krivda and Suter.
Indeed, saw Loic Catburn there diving for the line, desperate to scalp Kasper Fossa if getting nothing else out of this race. Here is our second men's semi-final. We have Tim Robinson of New Zealand. He's had a good World Championship so far, but he'll look to go one better here with a medal. Alvaro Casado, talented Spanish athlete. Johnny Crickmore, well, he won't thank me for saying this, but maybe a little fortunate to qualify to the mistake of Matthias Petter. Massive cheer for him. They're so delighted that he has made it to this semi-final, and we'll see how he goes. Frank Jonas reverses the cap, and that is a serious move. Well, what does he mean with that?
He's got a racing cap. Regborn, our new sprint world champion, he is certainly one of the favourites. Glonek, I think, one of the outsiders in this group. I know the Czechs are very happy. Everybody who qualified for the quarterfinals into the semi-finals. Great job here. And Kimela was advanced through into this round after being impeded on the run-in. Very, very interesting. And this
it's a hand-drawn bid for Tim Robertson. I don't understand how that's come about, but that's a nice touch. Yeah, 7 athletes in this semi-final, and you can hear the tension building as they take their marks.
Yeah, so no runner's choice here. It's one of the options that you can have for the knockout sprints, but it is a straight race here. They will know that, of course. Well, they might think there will be some loops, but no loops at all. It's just a straight race. Lots of opportunities for different route choices. And let's see who's gone out first. Let's see who's gone out hardest here. It's hard to tell, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty bunched up as they take that first corner.
Yeah, it's quite a long run out as well. In fact, Tim Robertson wanting to put himself into the lead here. Some of those struggling to stay on their feet as they take this wide corner, and then they're going to be out very shortly, out to the main street. That is where the start triangle is, and they expect them all to turn to the bottom of the picture. There we go, easy peasy for these athletes. And hopefully no issues here. There we go, in with the pack, Robertson leading. Then we've got Frank Jonas in from Hungary in the second spot. Then pretty equal with Crickmore and with Glonek here. And we're going to get 7 athletes in this one.
Yeah, just makes it that little bit harder to qualify. For me, I think probably Tim Robertson and new world champion Martin Regborn the most likely to get through this heat, but it is wide open, really. We have seen, you know, just some fantastic racing from all of these athletes to get to this stage. As they come into this, our first control, some choosing to come down the right-hand side of those steps to maybe get a wee advantage in terms of the positioning. And, they've all exited the control kind of with the flow.
Different to the first semi-final?
Different to the first semi-final.
Doesn't really matter. Is there a difference based on this? I think actually they're fairly even whether you go red or what we see on our map as red or blue. This is the red route, even if you compared if you went up the
blue
steps.
route actually 20 meters shorter, but the steps and the U-turn out of the control just enough to make it pretty even with this north route that they've ended up taking.
So heading south up the hill, and they'll come to the square. They can cut across there towards this kind of section in this courtyard behind the building. No problems for these athletes. Hard to tell if they split up here. Well, they do split up here. Now 2 one way, 5 the other.
In the women's heats, that this route on the right is slower, so the group to the left we expect will probably pop out just in front. Nothing decisive at this stage, though, as we catch up with Tim Robertson still leading the train into this, the first control, followed by the Czech athlete Mika Kirmela, and we've got it, well, and now they split again, and they've come out of this second control really confidently. I'm not sure we've seen any race do this quite as confidently as that.
No, Tim Robertson had a very clear idea of where he was going in that lead. If you've got the comparison, I do think it's further, and we think it's slower as well, with a big set of steps down to get towards this control number 3.
Yeah, I think Johnny Crickmore went that way as well, so it could be problems for those two. Although we see, Johnny Crickmore's gone this way. I'm sorry. As we see, the technical running through this university section is just, you know, an extra little thing in the back of the mind of all of these athletes.
So this is a group of 4 who've gone this southern way, but you can see Crickmore just dropping off the back of this group. We've got the Spaniard, we've got the Hungarian, and we've got Regborn here. He knows there's been a gap. He has to push the pace here because he knows that Robertson going the other way
is going the other way. What he doesn't know that we do know is that Robertson's route is potentially 40 meters further here, so not optimal at all from the Kiwi. But like you say, the psychology of splitting up the group does really change the dynamic of the race. You can see Regborn pushing the pace, Johnny Crickmore carrying that knee injury, currently perhaps losing out to that decision from the newly crowned world champion.
So we have those going that northern route then. They go through the backyard here, then they've got to drop down all the way down the alleyway. I honestly think they're going to lose out here, but we will catch up with them again at control number 4.
Yeah, it doesn't make for pretty viewing on the GPS to see Jakub Glonek and Tim Robertson, and also Mika Kimela. Actually, there are 3 athletes who have taken that northern route choice. Now that they've selected their micro route choice within it, we can confirm that is about 45 meters further they have had to run to get into, plus a big set of steps downhill as well to get into this third control.
Okay, so they've gone also back out towards the road exactly the same way as we saw from Foster in the first semi-final, out towards the left, and they'll go.
We'll hope they all flow through this control a little bit better than Timo Suter did as we come round to the top of the Royal Mile. Ferenc Jonas, at least according to the GPS, right up the front there, along with Alvaro Casado. I guess those 3 of the 4 that went south, having potentially put a little bit of time into Johnny Crickmore, but they are they going to go north out of control 5?
Oh, no, they've gone south, sorry. They've gone south, Casado, but I think some of the others will have gone north with Jonas. Oh, no, he's also going south.
Well, those 2 options actually very even, only 2 meters in it. Timo Suter lost a lot of time here, but we think most of that probably going back to the control rather than on the route choice to number 6.
So I think the group who've gone south will actually go via control number 3 and cut back through the churchyard.
Oh, yes, this is not a route that we've seen taken so far, and that is slower, actually, than the route of Tim Robertson. We've lost the GPS here, but I think also the route of Glonek and Kiemela. So,
but now I think they're going to go through the
they're going to go through the shop. So they will see each other coming different directions down this road, and then taking that right, or I guess if you go from the top left-hand turn, into the events company. GPS not really dealing with the tall buildings here, so unclear where everyone's gone. Johnny Crickmore's route down to the far south there, not optimal, not terrible though, so we will see if that pays off.
Time, though.
He will probably
but I think this is him being off the back, wanting to make a difference. There's Regborn, there's Jonas, and there is Casado, I think, as well. So there's the top 3 athletes here, with Regborn well out into the lead. Only the last few controls still to go. They drop down the routes here on their way towards control number 7. Can pick them up with a drone running through the gardens. No problem for Regborn in the lead. And then what a scalp it'll be, actually, for either of these nations to get into this final, whether it is Hungary, whether it is Spain. For the neutral, this is really
fantastic
exciting
to see representation from those sort of up-and-coming countries in orienteering. Martin Regborn is going to cruise through here, I think. Will it be Ferenc Jonas or will it be Alvaro Casado? Tim Robertson is not going to make it through here, I don't think. Mika Kiemela and Jakub Glonek in tow. And there's Johnny Crickmore coming in on that slightly different route choice. Just had a check back there from Alvaro Casado, because Ferenc Jonas, I think has gone down. I think he's gone down on the stairs, and that might cost him.
That is going to cost
Alvaro
him.
Casado with a look over the shoulder to see what had happened to the Hungarian athlete there, who is, that's unfortunate. He is crawling across the line here, and yeah, that fall has cost him. Good to see those 2 in conversation at the finish. I don't think any indication that there was kind of interference between the 2 of them, as Johnny Crickmore finishes in 7th in this second semi-final. He's done fantastically well to get here, and I think especially given that knee injury he's been carrying, nice end to the World Championships for the British athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. So Regborn and Casado in towards the finish. They join Joey Hadorn and Jonathan Gustafsson. Yeah, very exciting, this one. Let's have a recap of the routes. Same routes here, and then splitting up on this one. This, for me, this is where Robertson lost it, and Kiemela and Glonek. That was it. That route choice just a long way worse than the others.
Yeah, it's not a viable route choice, really, to go north out of control number 2. Caught us out a little bit to see people exiting in that direction, because we hadn't seen it yet. And you see, as the routes reconvene on 5 to 6, those 3 just too far behind.
Yeah, there was very little they could do to catch up on the others once they'd made that other route choice from 2 to 3. You could see that they were really trying different route choices, maybe seeing where the others went, trying something different, putting every effort into it, throwing all the tricks in the rule book at it, but
and
just
that's what
not
you have
making
to do.
it through.
If you get dropped early on, you have to take those risks. But unfortunately, for those athletes that made the early route choice error, the route choices they then continue to take later on were also worse. So in the end, it is Martin Regborn from Alvaro Casado, the 7-second gap back to Ferenc Jonas. Perhaps a little unfair on the Hungarian athlete. He was right in that race until the steps just before the run-in.
And this semi-final, 3 seconds slower than the first one. Those in the first semi-final will have somewhat of an advantage in the terms that they can have a little bit more time to recover now before the final. And we've only got one more to go. It's another one with 7 athletes in the mix. Only 2 spots remain in our final at these World Championships. Those are the athletes there. We're going to see them lining up very, very soon. But we've got a couple of... we've got one, I would say, coming up as a specialist in this format. Timo Oksanen had a great result in the World Cup early on. Well, I mean, making that final, in fact, and Emil Svensk as well. He was as a bronze medalist from the European Championships in Italy, so you've got to look out for him. He's already got 1 medal at these championships. He desperately wants another one. Hubacek just made it through. That was a cracking sprint finish there. Rankan also was advanced as well. He also has made a final, in fact, a European Champs final. He was 5th in that one before. He knows how to do this one. Backlid as well, don't count him out. Oksanen, young Finn, he's only doing this discipline. This one has to count, and you know that Yannis Bonek, he's got the aggression needed to make this. And Yannick Michels, then, he has been advanced through here after being, I think the referee decided he was impeded by the broad-shouldered figure of Bonek. So 7 guys lining up here, only 2 spots left in our final. Big deep breath from Emil Svensk, surely one of the favourites from this semi-final. The crowd in this very compact arena, enjoying all the racing to the max here. Only a few seconds to go. You can see they go into kind of a starting position. Michels looks like he's got his eyes ahead.
A full start here. His balance is right over the front.
It absolutely is. There they go then. Our 3rd and final semi-final in these knockout sprints, and Michels
straight to the front.
He wants to try and make it a fast-paced race from the very start, and his sprint speed is so good. He is not going to want to let it come to, I think, a sprint finish. He's going to want to try and drop them earlier.
In the sprint finish in the quarterfinal, and he didn't like it very much. Helped out by the referee to get him into this semi-final, but yeah, like you say, he does not want to have to go through that again. He is looking to make it to the final unimpeded, on his own terms, and that is exactly what he will do if he can keep this lead, but it's very, very early days.
Yeah, he wants to make it a fast, honest race, and we know he prefers the individual discipline. I think he as a slightly older athlete, maybe thinks he's not quite at the speed of these youngsters, although he is incredibly fast.
Quick.
He's got great
but over
track
that last
times.
30, 40, 50 metres maybe, rather than over the whole length of the 2-kilometre race, I think I agree that Yannick maybe doesn't quite have that speed. So here they come into the first control.
Yeah,
it's all still together.
Steps, absolutely, dropping down the steps. We'll see they go straight on at this section. And again, either whether you go straight on, whether you turn back and go back up the steps, pretty even from there. But those steps were quite mean, actually. Yeah. They're quite steep. They're quite
characteristic
horrible
of this part of Edinburgh in general. Actually, the steps for the most part pretty unpleasant to run down. As we catch up with the athletes coming back up the hill. On that northern route choice from Control 1 to Control 2.
Yeah, just a reminder, our GPS is a little bit behind the pictures as the GPS units send out the signal, but you can see from the drone shot all of them looking very, very closely at the map, looking very, very closely at the route they're going to do. Often you can see when the map comes up, maybe they've got 2 hands on it. It's a bit of a giveaway that they are working hard here, and actually, yeah, different routes here, very interesting, and I rate this from
Timo Oksanen. as we see him take a more diagonal route across. Oh, yes. Hubacek somewhat unnecessarily taking the railing of the steps there. I guess it's slightly easier running, but a little unusual there. Oxenen now has the lead. Yannick Michaels has taken a different route. I was just going to say, where's he got to?
Yeah,
well, he wanted to be at the front of this race. He's back in the pack now. I think he probably does have the speed at this stage in the race and those long limbs to get back up in front if he wants to.
And he cannot dwell on this mistake, can he?
This means nothing, actually, in the great scheme of things. They're all still within, what, maybe 2 seconds at a push.
Oxenen's gone off the lead. Let's have another look at that. You can see a little gap opening up ahead of the Norwegian. That's Jürgen Backlid in second place, Emil Svensk in third. We've got Janis Bonnek into fourth, and the rest of them all very, very close together. Look how much reading Yannick Michaels is doing as he just kind of goes, right, well, I follow them for now, and I look ahead here.
Yeah. A change of strategy here, I think, from Yannick Michaels. He wanted to lead the race. He took that micro route choice that has just cost him a second, maybe, if that, and he finds himself at the back of the pack. So now, okay, fine. We're going to make this an orienteering race. I'm going to read the map, and I'll pick the best route on these long legs, and the others are going to have to do the same if they want to be with me at the end. But that is the thinking from Yannick Michaels. But he is now sitting at the back of this group. Very different scenes to what we saw at the start of the race.
Yeah, and you can see all of his energy, all of his time is being now spent on reading ahead. There's only a small part of his brain, well, sometimes you've got to avoid a cone like that, but a small part of his brain is just kind of spent on being on with the pack, being in the moment. I think most of his brain will be looking ahead, but it's Oxenen who's in the lead, and he's kind of a specialist here. They go different routes here. Backlid a different way, Michaels a different way. This is good, actually. Going through the courtyard, it's shorter, there's more steps, but if well executed, you can catch up time here.
And especially with only 2 of them going that way, it opens up a bit more space for them to run. So will we see? Well, it's actually fairly even. They still are all together. They've all taken this slower route out to number 5. That we've actually, all of the men's heats have gone this way, all of the women's heats went the other way. I don't think we can read anything too much into that, but they are going to merge at the top of the Royal Mile shortly.
And they've got this combination of easier routes around here, and the course setter has put these in to actually give them a fighting chance of having a look at this route choice 5 to 6, being able to execute.
Yeah, and intentionally easier control from planner John Gross, because he knows 5 to 6 is pretty nasty. So they exit I think the north side of the Royal Mile here, if I'm not mistaken. This route, very viable, can be one of the best, as we see the figure of Ricardo Rancan in the mix.
Yeah, they're going through this kind of garden section here around the edge of this courtyard, then they'll go back out onto the main street. Then again, there's a bit more route choice to be taken at this point, but they're going to go all the way down, and they're all going to be looking for the shop here then as well. Who's in the lead? How can we see ahead?
Well, I think it is, I think Ricardo Rancan's in second. Was it still? No, it can't have been Timo Oxenen, because he's gone a different way with Yannick Michaels. They are choosing to go back through the churchyard. Not a route that we have highlighted. There might be something viable down that way, but well, we'll see as they all come. Oh, and there's a mistake from Jonas Hubacek. To be honest, not one of my favourites to make it through here anyway, but that error has cost him. He is now off the pace.
So we've got, I think, a route choice error. I think a route choice error from the Belgian. Oh, as we see them there.
Oh, and they cross, and Yannick counts.
Oh, okay.
Well, hang on, that's not what I was expecting to see at all.
They're not as far back as I thought, but no. I think it's still too much, and I think it's 2 of these 3 who are going to make it through. I would put money at the moment on Svensk and on Bonnek, the 2 in the lead.
Yeah,
Backlid in third.
Still in third. He's still mixing it. As we see Alistair Pedley watching proceedings. He's had a lot to do with the organisation of this race. Yannick Michaels, Ricardo Rancan, and...
they made the mistake.
Oh, they've made the mistake.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow, and that is going to be the end.
Oh, my gosh.
They've gone all the way up. They've fully committed. Ricardo Rancan, the major beneficiary. Someone else has gone that way. I think that's Yannick Michaels has gone as well.
Oh, my goodness me. Backlid in the lead. Then it's Rancan.
Backlid from Ricardo Rancan. And Yannick Michaels in third. I don't think he's got the speed to do it from here. Hubacek now moving up. Well, that execution error, we saw it in one of the women's semi-finals. Haven't seen it for a while.
It was worse for the men, though.
It was so much worse. They fully committed to that route, and that has...
Okay, they're coming into the run-in now. Let's have a look. Here's Rancan. We know that Backlid is ahead as well, and it is going to be clear for these guys. What a race here in the semi-final.
Punches the air, and yeah, and the same emotions for Ricardo Rancan. He is delighted to make it into the final. Yannick Michaels misses out. Hubacek Teemu Oksanen, who I think would have been one of the favourites there, is out. Emil Svens can't do it, and Janis Bonnick, hands on head in despair. He also, I think, took that incorrect route execution error right at the very end of this race. And that has been decisive now in 2 semi-finals. Teemu Oksanen, a shake of the head, because he knows he had the quality to make it through there if only he could have taken the right route.
Yeah, and shake of the head as well for Janis Bonnick. He did that execution error going up the steps there. Oh my goodness me, I think that was the most exciting race yet. We've had some pretty exciting ones. Let's have a look at the routes again, all close together at this point. Nothing between them. Mikkel certainly dropped back here. You can see he was taking time to read the map, but he got the decision wrong actually in the end as well. All through the same way this way. They've gone different routes 3 to 4. Didn't really matter at this point, all together pretty much again. And then you can see this is where Oksanen and Mikkels go south. They go back via 3. It's too long though, and they drop down just as a result of that route choice. It's not by much, but it's enough. Then we see mistakes there for many of the athletes, including Svensk, including Janis Bonnick.
Yannick Mikkels as well,
Yannick
I think
Mikkels,
also checked up in that direction.
Yeah,
at least.
absolutely. And it was these guys who didn't mess up here.
Yeah. It's Orienteering that has won this race for Jürgen Backlid. Ricardo Rancan in second. The backwards cap working for him, where it did not quite for Jonas. So they will be in the final alongside Martin Regborn, Alvaro Casado, Joey Hedorn, and Jonathan Gustafsson.
Wow, my goodness me, 6 semi-finals full of drama and full of action. Here's a confirmation of the final result for this 3rd semi-final. And in fact, that's not right.
Not correct, no.
We will put a little pause on that. It's actually Jürgen Backlid and Ricardo Rancan to make it through there across the line, not Teemu Oksanen. Goodness me, and we've still got 2 fantastic finals still to come. We know there's brilliant results here, and in fact I think we're actually going to hear from one of those athletes who was knocked out. We're going to hear from Natalia Gempela.
So Natalia, a very close semi-final. You're just short of the 2 first spots. What's your feeling afterwards?
It's painful a little bit. Yeah.
And how did you experience the race, the tricky part in the indoor house and everything?
Yeah, it was really tricky, and we expected it should be tricky. And we had more like a group fight, one control to another. We were pushing hard, everybody, and yeah, it was hard technically as well as physically, so it was very challenging.
And what was your thoughts going in the last 100 meters there against Megan and Venla? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I didn't see Venla, I saw Megan, and I thought like second best should be okay, and then like Venla came and I couldn't react anymore, like so this is like in track and field. Yeah, I didn't celebrate it already, but I thought like just try this cadence frequency till the end, but she was going faster from beginning, so she had this inertia, so I couldn't react.
Thank you so much, Natalia.
Thank you everybody.
Well, not usual in orienteering. We hear from those knocked out, but Natalia Gempela, you know, she didn't see Ven Lahayu coming up there at all. We're going to hear from another of those athletes knocked out. This was out of the 3rd and final semi-final, Hanna Lundberg. Let's hear from the Swede then, so we get her thoughts then on the race and on losing out to Cecilia Kalondri and Simona Abersold. She was in the top 2 positions for so long.
So Hanna Lundberg, very emotional 3rd place, I think we can say, for you in the semi-final. How did you experience the race?
I guess I followed my plan and felt like I had control at in the half of the course, but then I just don't have that push in the end, and the other girls are stronger. So I guess it is what it is, but yeah, I'm disappointed.
And the tricky part with the indoor part, how did you experience that, and the group, how did it react to that?
I felt like I had really good control and followed my plan and my route choices that I had decided for, and I felt that the other group was yeah, I heard them behind, but felt like I had control. So, but I know that the end is not my best part, so I'm not so surprised that they were so fast in the end.
And if you're to summarize these world champs, you had a missed punch in the sprint final, a missed punch in the sprint relay as well. What are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, this was. I had hope for more, and I feel like I have followed my plan and my. I've done everything right, but then I have some really. I am really disappointed of how it went, and even though I did my best. So I guess it is what it is, and it's tough in the top.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Hannah Lundberg there. I think fighting through the tears, then getting knocked out, then Cecile Calandri and Simona Abersold making it through and really gutting her overall World Championships. We're going to hear from another one who's been knocked out. This is Kasper Fosse.
Kasper, a very close semi-final once again. Some fast runners out there. What was your experience of the semi-final?
Yeah, it was. I got the lead a bit easier than I wanted in the beginning there, and I had the tactic of not trying to be in front, because then it's impossible to get away on some smarter route choices because everyone follows you. But I don't know. I felt like I could run in the front and control it quite well with a not too fast pace, and then I was hoping that they would be so difficult to pass me in the end with the corners and the narrow pathways that I will make it, but it was just not good enough.
And it was a very close finish with Joey Haddon and Jonathan Gustafsson. What was your thoughts there on the last 50 meters?
I was disappointed that both of them managed to get past me in some stairs there. It was a bit messy with a lot of people running really close to each other, and but in the last sprint there, I felt like I had them in my sight, that they were not too far away, but they just have more power in their legs in a sprint finish like that than me.
And if you just summarize the world champs, 17th on the sprint, bronze medal on the sprint relay, and now a semi-final here, what's your feelings?
It's overall quite shit. I know that, or like if it had gone well on the individual sprint, then I would say that the champs was a success, but that was my one chance to get my individual gold medal, and I blew it, and I knew that knockout would be tough, and so it's a bit sad. I managed with some miracle to get in quite a good shape here for WOC, and then it feels quite sad not to be able to really show it. At least I have a good relay leg that I can look at to see that at least I did something here. I wasn't just a spectator.
Thank you, Kasper.
Thank you.
Kasper Fosse there, a very popular figure actually in orienteering, popular athlete, and he was knocked out then in his semi-final. Joey Haddon and Jonathan Gustafsson making the difference there right at the very end, and it just shows actually you've just got to get everything right.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And you know, for Kasper to have done all of the orienteering, at least in his perception, in that race, and then be knocked out at the end is gutting. But if you want to make it in the knockout sprint, you need to have that top gear. And for Kasper Fosse today, it was not quite to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting ready for the final then. It's the same course for the women and the men. Again, no runner's choice. It's just a straight course. James, it's your opportunity to talk us through it.
So we start again in the same place at St John Street, but they are going to exit the Royal Mile on the south side, which is not what we saw them do in the semi-finals. Controls 1 and 2, not too complicated. Control 2 in a school that we've opened up access to. The athletes won't expect to be in there. Control 3 is in Whiteford House, a Scottish veterans residence, and we're very thankful to them for access to their grounds. Control 4 to 5, I believe, has more route choice than most of this. If you want to lose the race, you can go to the north up onto Carlton Hill. We don't expect to see anyone do it, but if you do see anyone exit control number 4 to the north, they are going to be out of proceedings pretty quickly, I suspect. As we move down to the later stages of this course, control 8 to 9 has got some route choice. Going north is quicker here, and then finally up the run-in from 9 to the finish. Well, could we see a final decided on the line? We've seen it in the quarterfinals. We've seen it in the semi-finals. Your sprinting really important in this race today.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and we're going to highlight one of the early route choices for you, because there's actually route choice throughout this course, but one of those ones here is the early one. You could actually exit on the blue route and then go over to the red route, but it looks like red route is the best.
Yeah, the pre-runners notes here are that actually all of these routes are fairly even, but there is an opportunity to run somewhere quite different to all of the other athletes here, as we see Joe Hudd and Alistair Pedley, two of those pre-runners, taking the light blue route from 2 to 3. This route is 229 metres long. We've got some steps up and 2 sets of steps down, so it is the shortest route by a bit of a margin, but those steps do make it slightly slower running.
Yeah, and again, you can see those different route choices here. We've got these gates open, and they go around this bowling green here. This is a Scottish veterans residency here, and so this area has never been used for orienteering before. We've had quite a lot of races in Edinburgh City Centre over the, last decade and a half, but never before has there been any orienteering in here, and that means it's really hard for the athletes to prepare. And they've got this route choice 3 to 4 as well.
And in this case, you want to take the red route choice. It's better by a long margin, 40 metres. Could be 7 seconds better to go that way than to take the blue route down on the main road. Easier running on the blue route, but you can't afford to lose 7 seconds in a knockout final. Not at all. So here are the women who have made it through to the final. Caroline Olsen, Tove Alexanderson, the home hope Megan Carter-Davis, Venla Harju of Finland, Simona Abersold goes for Switzerland, and Cecile Colondri, who just showed a turn of pace that I certainly didn't know she had available to her to make it into this final ahead of some stiff competition in that semi-final. So one of those will be your winner. 3 of them will get a medal. So if you make it to this final, you are really in with a shot. Who's your favourite?
You kind of got a half chance. I mean, when we're talking about favourites, you cannot look past this woman on the left, Tove Alexanderson. I've looked through the last 5 knockout sprints that we've had on the World Cup circuit. She has won every single one of them, so she is going to be absolutely fantastic. Venla Harju looking good here. We saw Caroline Olsen on the left, means we've got 2 Swedes in this final. Megan Carter-Davis, she's a defending silver medalist in this, and it's already, just by making this final, her best performance of these World Championships, these home World Championships. You mentioned Cecile Colondri and her fantastic turn of speed at the end, but could this be Simona Abersold's chance to take another world title? She's got 1 in her name so far. Tove Alexanderson has 20, and it's going to be very, very interesting, because Tove is one who we've seen making mistakes. She messed up in the sprint relay.
In the 2 races we've had so far, it's come down to Tove versus Simona for gold, and well, it should have been silver, and it's 1-1 as they go into this, the final of 3 races. Will it be those 2 fighting it out? Will Megan Carter-Davis be a factor, or will we see Venla Harju, Caroline Olsen, or Cecile Colondri towards the front of this race?
So 2.1 kilometres of orienteering lie ahead of these 6 women, and 3 medal opportunities in this final of the Sprint World Orienteering Championships. You see the 2 Swedish athletes just drop a little bit back here compared to the others. All of them straight into reading the map. Again, Simona Abersold takes quick looks at the maps. You can get so much information off that piece of paper very, very quickly, and then it gets quiet here.
We see her not looking at the map very much on the run out. I mean, it's a weird strategy from Simona Abersold, a day of weird strategies really from Simona, but she has made it to this final, so we can't really take anything away from her.
I just think she's so good. She wants to stay calm and focused and collected, and relaxed as well, and she's absolutely done that.
So early lead for Megan, some cheers from the marshals as well. Tove Alexanderson, interesting, in her quarterfinal, in her semi-final, she went off to the front, she tried to lead the pack and get an early gap. She's not doing that here in the final, and maybe that's a little bit of respect from Tove Alexanderson to this group that contains a lot of the women. Oh, and she falls over. It's very early days. I think she's back up again very quickly, and on she goes. But yeah, a little bit of respect maybe from Tove Alexanderson to some of these women who have been challenging her kind of dominance over world orienteering in the last couple of years. Megan Carter-Davis, Venla Harju, a big part of that.
So they drop into one of the early little courtyards here and going round the streets then. That was the, first control.
Yeah.
Yep, and they actually go, oh, this is a good route choice, I think. They're going all the way to the south, I think.
Yeah, not picked up by our pre-runners. They are, well, you know, they're not actually off the map here, but they're certainly off the beaten path. Any of these athletes could have taken a much better route here. I mean, it's not very difficult to see that south is a long way around.
Are they all together, though?
I believe they are all together, so none of them has taken this opportunity to get ahead. Well, this is very confusing stuff because they can't even get into the school from this south side, so they're going a long way around here.
No, they'll go around this wall at the bottom here and they will approach from the eastern part, so they're just south of control number 2 now, but they've got to go up the steps and into the school. Again, that's been opened up for us at that point. Just a reminder, our GPS tracker a little bit further behind, but this is the second control here, just on this corner. And again, some hesitation here as the athletes come out towards the street, and this is going to be very interesting. So hard to see where you actually just get into this control. They are out on the street then, and all heading right. Again, we think this is a pretty good one here, but you can see maybe the pace just dropping a little bit. Megan Carter-Davies wanting to
making a bit
push
of a
it
gap
on.
there. That's interesting to see. Simona Abbasol responding to the move, as is Tove Alexanderson. Cecile Calandre in 4th place.
Yeah, was that dropping? No, I think Olsen's, yeah, she's still there at the back of that pack, just behind Ven Lahayu. And I reckon they're going to go kind of slightly east of the line towards number 3, through the little passageway and then into the control itself. Again, this section's been completely opened up. New running then for these athletes, new challenge for them. And they go up the steps towards the control. Again, in this kind of garden section, we know that the camera is ahead of our GPS tracking, but no bother here at this point.
So this now control 3 to 4. Some route choice here. The route through the middle, I think, is the best here. Yeah, the red route through the middle best. The blue route to the north will cost them time. Be a little bit surprised if we saw them splitting up here. There is Luke Fisher, cameraman, ready to take over when these athletes come through.
This, I think, is control number 4. So we should see them through here, but have they gone
Well, where will they approach for? I don't know where the group has gone here. I feel they should be here. Oh, they've gone all the way out to the south.
Oh.
There's some terrible orienteering going on in this final, but they're all doing it together, so it hasn't split up very much. Simona Abbasol leads.
Carter-Davies has gone the other way. She's going to approach from the left. Abbasol here, but they've all stopped. And it comes together here. Who's going to move first? I knew we would see this.
This is a big route choice.
Oh, no,
that's a bad route for Megan Carter-Davies.
Oh, no, that's
dear.
it.
And, well, we think this route choice, unfortunately for Megan Carter-Davies, is probably 20 seconds slower than the south route choices. We have seen some pretty questionable routes being taken earlier on in this heat, so it may not all be over, but she is absolutely putting herself at a disadvantage here, and she will need the other athletes to make mistakes if she is going to have any chance to try to defend that medal.
She could do a wiggly route.
I'm not sure that's very good either. There's a lot of there's a bit of a pick-up in the pace here from the 5 main contenders as they come on this southern route.
They're by control number 2. They've just come past control number 2 and they're avoiding a barrier, which you can see on
So they're also not on the best route here. We think this route about 5 seconds better than best. So Megan Carter-Davies disadvantage about 15 seconds, assuming they execute this correctly. The problem with that route, Megan Carter-Davies, you can't see this, but she's currently climbing up Carlton Hill, one of the 7 hills of Edinburgh. They are part of what makes the city famous. They're also part of what makes it quite a slow place to run, as she is finding out now. That is a physical route choice she has taken. But judging by the GPS, it doesn't look like it's actually that bad for her. But I think, well, the entry into number 5 also complicated. She has to come all the way around to the west of that out-of-bounds section. We will wait and see. The rest of the pack, well, I think we're having a little bit of difficulty keeping up with their GPS here. They're contending with some artificial barriers on this route. There are different variations.
Hayu, I think, going south of the line, maybe going via control number 1 here. Everybody else going through the garden. That seems to be okay. But my goodness me, we'll have to see what happens as they get to control number 5, because they dash through the courtyards here. And this is actually where they went out towards control number 1. So no problems here. And we can see Abbasol, Alexanderson, very, very familiar figure from her, Calandre, and then Olsen there. This group of 4 with Hayu off the back. She took a different route choice. And we'll see then the damage this has taken for Carter-Davies, because this control... Oh, she's in
no
the
damage
lead.
at all. Megan Carter-Davies takes the lead with a route choice that we thought was horrible. Well, how big of of a lead, is it? Megan Carter-Davies, that is quite shocking. Simona Aebersold in second, Tove Alexanderson third, Cecile Calandri fourth, Ben Lahayu off the pace. We did not see that coming.
Don't get too excited. There's still a lot of orienteering to go, because don't get too excited here.
But that is not what we were expecting to see at the end of that long leg. The pre-runners have got that horribly wrong, or maybe they're just not quite as quick as Megan, but there is orienteering still to come. The chase pack can see Megan. It's not decisive, but wow, that that has put the cat amongst the pigeons. We did not expect to see that at all.
Absolutely not. And now climbing up here, she's going to be climbing up towards control number 7, and maybe she's going to know here are the chasing group then here, but she does have all that climb in her legs then, Megan Carter-Davies. She's got to stay calm then here. This is control number 7, and she goes back out to the other
gets
direction.
That confirmation that she's leading. Simona Aebersold takes a different route along with Tove Alexanderson, and I think that is Cecile Calandri. She has taken 7 seconds out of Tove Alexanderson on that long leg. Sorry, in the section from control 4 to control 7, but including that long leg. That is a big surprise. Megan Carter-Davies, a 4-second lead at control 7. She is now navigating a different route to number 8. Than the other athletes. We think it's a good route. We'll see which way she comes this way, but yeah, the red route taken by the other athletes thought to be about 5 seconds slower than the optimal route. Although,
hang on,
is that Tove Alexanderson?
Yeah,
I think has nipped out in front of Megan Carter-Davies. Well, it is all happening here as they descend these twisty steps. This is what the pre-runners believe to be the fastest route.
Yeah, so we're on the way towards control number 8. This one is fairly simple, and they have got a route choice decision to make on the next part. Oh, but they are back
they've all come back together.
Again.
Well, Megan Carter-Davies has lost that lead, but she goes straight on through control number 8 up the steps, I believe.
No, but she has to go back because there's a barrier there at the top.
Wow, and all that work up Carlton Hill has come undone for Megan Carter-Davies as she now chases the pack through towards number 9. We're getting towards the business end of this race now.
And was that Aebersold in the lead? I'm just looking ahead. I think it is Aebersold. I think it is Calandri. And then I think it is Alexanderson here. And Carter-Davies just off the back. No, I think it's Olsen.
Very
I
hard
can't tell.
to see. I'm not sure who we have here, to be completely honest with you. It's very hard to keep track as they duck into the left.
There's Alexanderson on the last section of the race. She's done it again. This is up towards the last section, and then there is medals to be shared between these 3 athletes. Carter-Davies out of it at the moment. Calandri, we know she's got that turn of pace. Alexanderson has done it yet again. Another world title, the 21st world title for Alexanderson. But watch the race behind, because Olsen is fighting for a medal with Aebersold, and I think the Swedish athlete's going to get it just ahead of Aebersold. And Sweden 1 and 2.
Cecile Calandri just outside the medals. Megan Carter-Davies takes the applause of the crowd as she comes into 5th. Well, that is a quite bizarre race that Megan Carter-Davies has had. Of course, she doesn't know that her long leg route choice was thought to be bad, but yeah, she came out in that surprise lead, and then just unfortunately, technically, massive celebrations from the 2 Swedes. A Swedish 1-2. Tove Alexanderson makes amends for her missed punch in the sprint relay, and emotional scenes here at the finish for the Swedish, our new champion.
I think Tova's almost
done it again.
Well, I'm going to say I think Tova's almost more pleased for Caroline Olsen there than herself to get the 2 of them on the top of that podium. And I'm just going to have a look and see. This is Caroline Olsen's first ever individual world champs medal. She's got some as a part of a team before, but it's her first individual medal, and hence the celebrations. Simona Aebersold adds another medal to her collection. It's not the colour she wanted. And I think Megan, actually, she should be pretty pleased with that. It's definitely her best race of the championship so far. Basically, she couldn't. It was the steps where there was a barrier, and she lost out as a result of that, and just the navigation on the end. Goodness me. Let's talk through the routes then, all together at this point here, dipping in through the alleyways. This was a weird control number 2. I mean, they should not have gone out here, because they could have gone pretty much very, very straight to the line, but one person goes one way, they all follow. That's how it works. Straight out here, no problems here to 3, and then none of them getting, I think, the optimum route to control number 4. Davies going round the top, the others going all the way. Oh no, yeah, not too bad actually.
No, well,
they
Megan
do stick on
Davies'
the
route there was
inside.
thought to be slower, so actually 2 consecutive controls she took what the pre-runners thought were slower routes, but on the day they were very, very good for Megan Carter-Davies.
Yeah, Davies going all the way up and down this hill, and it actually works out for her. Amazing work, and she goes, yeah, in fact, all the way through here. She does pop out into the lead. Again, maintaining that lead, but the others have someone to chase. They manage to chase her down a little bit here. She loses the lead then on this route choice control here. Maybe some of the others going through a route they've been through before. Maybe that's a little advantage here, and they do pop out very similar here. A mistake for Davies, and Alexanderson takes a good route too. Small mistake for Carter-Davies, and then, yeah, then we're left with our medalists. Alexanderson, yet another world title. Olsen, her first individual world title, and another one to add to the collection from Simona Aebersold. That was it.
Wow.
It was a big gap in the end, and we're so used to seeing this from Tove. She just gets the orienteering right. She picked a great route choice at the end, and then look at these three fighting for the medals here. Kind of seeing Aebersold's face that she knew she wasn't going to get it, and tears there for Caroline Olsen, who'd been out of the kind of World Championships team and back in it again with a silver medal. Okay, confirmation then of the results here, and we can see Tove Alexanderson, Caroline Olsen, 5 seconds in it then for Tove Alexanderson, Cecile Calandru in 4th, Carter-Davies in 5th. Let's hear from the winner.
You've just been jumping around together with Caroline Olsen, won the silver. Congratulations on another World Championship for you. Very emotional. How was it?
Yeah, it's to share this with Caro is like, yeah. We have been training a lot together for so many years, and she has been in the national team like since I started, and we are really pushing each other and and she has had some really tough years, and to share this with her, it's really special. So yeah, it feels just so big, and I'm of course really happy for my gold medal, but to have Caro on the silver place it's just amazing to be able to share it together with her.
I think it's very obvious for you how emotional this is, but if we can talk about the race, it was very interesting to follow different route choices. Megan took the lead halfway. What was your experience of the race and your strategy?
Oh yeah, it was. It's so hard. You're so focused. I don't remember so much. It's like in the beginning, I hit my knee quite bad, so I had to take it a bit easy for a little while. But then it felt good again, and it was so hard route choices. So you were just standing and you didn't want to do anything wrong, and I haven't seen the course now. After when you're running, you're just so focused, so I don't remember everything.
That's fair enough. Congratulations, Tove.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. I feel we're starting to see another side from Tove Alexanderson here. She congratulates Martin Regborn actually after her individual win, and now she's congratulating Caroline Olsen. She has had a really tough few years, dropping out of the World Championships team for the Swedish team, and then making it back in. Yeah, she kind of can't really process her own race. She's just focused on the others. But we need to focus on the men's final, because these are the 6 athletes who line up. Half of them will get medals, half of them will go home with nothing. And we've got a few, we've got a broad range of good names here. This is very, very hard to call. We've got Jonathan Gustafsson, multiple medals in this discipline. He's only racing this one. You'd call him a specialist. Joey Hadorn, great at the head-to-head racing as well. And I'm not sure that's entirely right on there.
Let's see which athletes line up here, because Timo Oxenden was shown there as being on the start list. I didn't think he qualified from his semi-final.
No, we had Rankan in through.
Ricardo Rankan and Jürgen Backlid. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see in a moment who's lining up on this start list. But yes, it is absolutely stacked. Yes, no Timo Oxenden as we expected, and there is the figure of Ricardo Rankan with that cap. Joey Hadorn, he raced that semi-final perfectly, really. Jonathan Gustafsson, as you mentioned earlier, Catherine, one who can really claim some consistency in this discipline where others find it so hard. Martin Regborn, the results show there don't include his world title from Friday, so that's probably what he would have wanted to see. Alvaro Casado, great to see a Spaniard in the final. It came down to a sprint finish between him and Ferenc Jonas. This is Jürgen Backlid. His just better orienteering, better navigation saw him through to the final. and Ricardo Rancan very excited to be here on the start line as well.
Yeah, his great orienteering at the end of his course put him into that place. He's made, you know, World Cup finals before. Yeah, he's got some form too. There's some guys with some good form onto this start line, and we start to ramp up the pressure then here for these athletes. They've got their maps in their hands. You can see Joey Haddle ready to rip it open, and there they go. Start of the men's final for these World Championships in the knockout sprint. We saw lots of different route choices being made by the women. The men's could be run entirely differently. It's a blank slate. It's all ripped open, and Martin Regborn heads to the start. In fact, he looks behind to see who is going with him. Joey Haddon, expect him to be towards the back until the last couple of controls, then he'll try to move on through as well. So they hit the street, and they'll go into one of several different alleyways to make their way down towards control number 1. I wouldn't imagine anybody will be choosing different routes to the others at this early stage. But Rancan in the lead here.
4 different alleyways to the south of the Royal Mile, all of them pretty much equal distances to the control. So if anyone peels off here, it's a psychological statement more than anything else. They choose one pretty much at random, I think, to duck down into this first control.
I think you should give them some more credit. They
Perhaps,
they head into kind of the second, I think, or the
I think
first
this is the
little
second,
one. And round this little corner, they go very shortly towards control number 1. You can see they've gone into their second alleyway. It looks good for all of these athletes at this point. Will they get number 2 right? Well, they want to go stick pretty close to the line. Let's have a look, see what they do. Yeah, absolutely. I think this is where we want to see them.
Yeah, this is what we were expecting to see. The women didn't do this, but a bit cleaner here for the pack. But of course, in both heats, the pack's staying together as far as we can tell, and therefore it doesn't make all that much difference what happens at this second
Yeah,
control.
this isn't a bad route choice. They're going to go out to the street, take the next alleyway down the entrance into the school, and it's around the other side of this big building here. No problems here for these athletes, but Casado just off the back of this group at the moment, still staying pretty calm here. We've lost the leading athletes at control number 2. Here we go.
There is a bit of separation there, actually. Joey Haddon, Ricardo Rancan, and Navarro Casado, 3 at the back. The other 3 up towards the front, so an early separation there. I don't think it is terminal, but those 3 putting the first foot forward in terms of looking for these medals. And actually, I think that is Martin Regborn we saw there just beginning to move off the front of the pack.
Yep, so on their way down towards control number 3, heading down this street. They'll have to kind of pass beyond the control and then drop in towards the Scottish Veterans Residency, which they are very kindly open up for the athletics, and it does provide, look at how many steps there are in here, so wiggly, so different and difficult in this section.
Yeah, twisty orienteering, it might disorient the athletes a little bit, but you know, these guys are world class, they'll get through it okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So they go back the other side of the bowling green here, very, very close towards control number 4, go through the little courtyard. They've gone just up some steps there, you can see, going around that section through the courtyard here. And I think it is Regborn there, as you mentioned, still in the lead. I think backlid, you can see that's the Norwegian jacket, the kit there. We've got the other Swiss colours, Jonathan Gustafsson into third
place.
This is a full control. They all stopped. All of the women stopped here. No problems here for these guys.
Bit of control flow. I don't think Alvaro Casado knows what this route choice is. He hasn't looked at his map very much, but he was happy to sit in the pack. None of them taking the Megan Carter-Davis line. So that's the last we'll see of Carlton Hill for these championships, well, barring any kind of crazy mistakes later on in the race.
So they've got to wiggle in and out of these small barrier sections then, and that's going to prove very tricky for all of these athletes. They go via the school and then back out again onto the road. And in fact, I think because they went all around the school, the women lost time here on this route choice. They go back down into one of the alleyways once more. They're going to go actually via control number 1 to head then back up onto the streets. They're going to go via control. In fact, they won't go Well,
no, I think
they
they've
probably
ducked through the school and then. Oh, actually,
yeah,
right.
they're gonna go down the alleyway and then in the little gap that's just south of the barrier section.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
expect.
Not quite through number 1, but very close by. And this will all be familiar terrain, perhaps a factor in the route choice. They know they can get through this way. It's a viable route, and a viable route is often a good route.
A move there from Jonathan Gustafsson in the darker kit. That's the colours of Sweden, just pushing ahead of Jürgen Backlid to get into second place. He's not wanting Martin Regborn to get too far away from him. And in fact, he's trying to close that gap as they head towards control number 5. All of them together, all of them strung out with a Spaniard just off the back of this group. He will be there if the leaders make a mistake. They go through the construction section. This is control number 5. Number 6, an easy one as well. Then in towards number 7.
Yeah, small route choice here, 5 to 6. They've all picked correctly by the looks of things. This won't make a big difference. 6 to 7, also fairly even, and all of this somewhat easier running is to set up the big route between control 7 and 8, which proved pretty important in the women's race. Now we do see separation here. I think that is Ricardo Rancan, who has gone round to the right, but these routes are even, so we don't really think it's going to make all that much difference. We suspect they will come back together here at control number 7. Where is the figure of Ricardo Rancan? There he is, entering stage left. And well, he's got a bit of a gap, a bit of a positional advantage there by taking that different route choice.
Yeah, and he's gone ahead then of the others here. Maybe he could just put a foot on the gas at that point, and he's now into the lead. There he is in the running cap, very distinctive position for him. And in fact, they all take this route. This is the one that Megan Carter-Davies has taken, and they're going to head actually past this section that a lot of them will have kind of been through before. All on these wiggles going around. Well, actually, no, a lot of them will have gone through here before. And they've opened up and closed different sections,
yeah.
so hopefully a lot of them haven't actually done this.
Yeah, this will keep it fresh for the athletes, even as they negotiate areas they're somewhat familiar with. Yeah, some of the gates open, some of them closed from the semi-finals. As we see this pack descending the stairs, still not very much
so
in
the
it.
control is just here. This is control number 8, and they don't want to go up the steps in front of them because there is a barrier, and they do go off to the right, and it's the 2 Swiss in the lead here. Regborn and Gustafsson going to try and chase, and they're actually all going to go out towards the road here. Not the quickest option, but it doesn't matter. They're all going the same way. In this men's course, very few people taking risks. They are all going the same routes, and they are powering their way through here. And it is Rancan in the lead. I think Hadorn still in second place. Gustafsson, Regborn dropping down here.
Big drama. Someone's gone, whoa.
Yeah, because you can't go that way.
You can't go in there. There is no route that way. And Ricardo Rancan now has a bit of a lead. I think this could be a world title for Ricardo Rancan as he negotiates these final sections, but they come into the run and it's not over yet.
Yeah, so it's Rancan in the lead, then Jürgen Backlid, then Regborn. And it's going to be a tie for the Swiss here. Let's have a look at how the medals are going to be decided. It's going to be a Swiss world champion. Ricardo Rancan takes the win. It is second place for Jürgen Backlid, and I think that was a third for Jonathan Gustafsson. Another medal to his collection. And my goodness me, I would have not given it to Rancan at the start of today.
Yeah, that is not the order of results I was expecting from that race whatsoever. What a win for Ricardo Rancan. Adding to his gold medal from the sprint relay on Sunday. Well, that is, the confirmation he's not mispunched there. Ricardo Rancan, delighted.
I was going to say, he wanted to just get the punch, the readout there. Check he's gone to all of the controls, and he can celebrate. I hope he goes out and celebrates in front of that crowd as well, because my goodness me, strong work then.
A sensational finish from Ricardo Rancan in discussion with Shiva Strain, who does get to anoint the world champions at this championship at least. He's been asked to go back and punch again. I don't really know why. He will head out to the crowds to take the applause. Oh, no, back in again. Well, I don't think he knows what to do. There we go, a celebration from Ricardo Rancan, your winner of the men's knockout sprint, his first international individual medal, I believe, and it's beginning to sink in here for Ricardo Rancan, what he has achieved there.
Well, what brilliant scenes here from this Swiss athlete. Absolutely strong work. There's a silver medalist behind him, Jürgen Backlid from Norway, head in his hands. And for me, the technicality of these races was something that was going to throw it wide open for me.
Yeah. I think we knew coming into today's semi-finals and finals that these are really technical, very orienteering heavy knockout sprint rounds that we've had planned for us by John Cross today. And it has, it has thrown up some surprise results in the men's race. In the women's race, I mean, no real shocks in the podium there. But yeah, for Ricardo Rankan and Jürgen Backlid to be in amongst the medals, definitely an upset for me. Jonathan Gustafsson takes the bronze, and we join them in this recap here. The race, really, they all stayed together.
This is like the opposite of the women's race,
yeah, completely different. Yeah, I mean, at this point in the women's race, you have Megan way off to the north. I think Ven Lahayu took a different micro route choice on this southern section. I mean, it was all over the place, and the boys just didn't want to lose sight of one another. A pretty cagey affair between the six of them, and it all just came down to raw pace at the end, really. And Ricardo Rankan is the beneficiary. This basically the biggest move of the entire race, and it was Ricardo Rankan, in fact. He came to the other side of that building 6-7, got himself into that leading position. I don't remember really if he relinquished it from there onwards, but it was still very tight. Through the university into the final few controls.
I think you called it right there, James. This route choice that we think didn't matter completely mattered. That route choice, 6-7, just put Ricardo Rankan in the lead. And for me, this race was all about positioning in the pack.
Yeah, it turned out that way because there were no big route choices taken, and so to give the other boys the slip and get himself a few positions further up. And, he has a World Championships gold medal to take home as a result. He is pumped. Why would he not be? Look at the celebrations from Ricardo Rankan, your new men's world champion in the knockout sprint discipline.
Yeah, and congratulations all round for these athletes. I know it was a very hard-fought race. It was very, very close, and I think they couldn't go full pelt because the orienteering was so difficult, and that's why I think we've seen so many tight races from these guys. So Rankan, Backlid and Gustafsson, your three on the medals today, Switzerland, Norway and Sweden, and I think we're going to hear from our winner.
So I'm here with Ricardo Rankan, the new world champion. Congratulations, Ricardo. How does that sound, world champion?
Yeah, it just feels amazing, but also hard to believe. Yeah, I'm still in the zone. I can't really believe it. I'm still just on these last controls, pushing as much as I can, trying to get every corner right, and it's just incredible feeling.
And how did your strategy play? You think it was Martin Reikborn led most of the way, and then suddenly on the third last control, something you moved forward. Was that your plan?
Yes, exactly. I saw there were some semi-long and also one long route choice. And from my experience, I thought, the group will stick together, especially in the final. Nobody wants to throw away a medal there. So, I tried to prepare a bit there at the end. And then already, I think everyone expected maybe a first attack, this route downwards. But I thought just beforehand there was a short leg, just left-right. Everybody on left, I just say, maybe they don't realize that I'm already away, so I can get a good position. And because I knew in the end it would be quite tight, so it's hard to overtake. So my goal was before the last route choice, have a good position already, and then just send it on my last route and trying to go for it by a memory and just hope I don't get trapped. Yeah.
And what was your thoughts then passing the group and then going on alone for the last two controls? What runs through your mind there? You're on your way to a gold medal.
Yeah, actually not much. I just knew now I have the best possible position. I'm well prepared for the end, but I know everything is still possible also from the guys behind. They're just waiting. I try to actually keep the speed a bit low so that I can get really fast out of the control. And I was not thinking there anymore. I was just running and trusting my instincts.
Thank you so much, and congratulations once again, Ricardo.
Thank you so much. Yeah!
Oh my gosh, amazing work. Two fantastic finals from this. Two incredibly different finals. This is how the women's race, if you've forgotten already, lots and lots of different route choices taken. That's what Tova mentioned. She fell, she had to, I'm surprised we haven't seen more fallers, in fact, on these routes. And actually, Tova, all of them splitting up. You can see they all basically stopped here. It's so difficult just to see the routes, and I wasn't surprised to see them splitting up here. And this is this very last tricky section. Megan Carter-Davies heading up, so too Karen Knott. In fact, people making mistakes everywhere. It was only Tova Alexanderson who had that very well prepared. She knew exactly where she was going. She knew the route, and that's why she won for me.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, that was quite the race in the women's. Lots of confusion at that second to last control in number 8. Mistakes left, right and centre. And, well, you've got to say probably 2 of the best technical orienteers made it out as a result. Tove Alexandersen, Caroline Olsen and Simona Abersol took 3rd.
I think Caroline Olsen's going to party well tonight with that. Her first ever individual medal. We're going to do the flower ceremony then for these athletes here. We can award the flowers, we'll award the medals later. Once any kind of protests, should there be any protests are made, we can confirm the final results and then award the medals. And Team Sweden, I think obviously they'll have been so disappointed right after their sprint relay. Some redemption here, certainly in the women's class.
Plenty of redemption to go with their 2 gold medals in the individual sprint as well. Now Tove Alexandersen picks up a gold. Silver for Caroline Olsen, and of course it was a bronze for Jonsson Gustafsson as well. It's been an excellent World Championships for the Swedes. Also for the Swiss, Simona Abersol, your 3rd place runner in the women's knockout sprint.
And lots of fans have been taking to the streets, taking to the WOC Tour, as well as taking to the streets to cheer on their nations. I've just done a little bit of maths then, and this medal for Simona Abersol means she's got 13 world medals to her name now. She's still a pretty young athlete, to be honest, and she's had a fantastic work, but I think a lot of the applause is going to go to Caroline Olsen here. She's had her struggles being in and out of the team, but back on the top here, and it's her first individual World Champs medal. It's now the 21st for Tove Alexandersen. 1 more to go, and she will match Simona Niggli, the absolutely legend of the sport. I mean, Tove already has legendary status. I mean, we don't need to recap that one at all. But those are the top 3 then after this knockout sprint, this final race here in the World Championships. Tove Alexandersen once again on the top of the podium. And again, and you mentioned earlier, James, because she's so dominant in everything, we don't think of her as a specialist in the knockout sprint, but she is so dominant in this.
So good at this
kind of discipline.
I think we counted earlier, she has failed to win at 1 of the knockout sprints she has entered, or at least at the
in the World
level.
Cup and World Champs level.
So, you know, we shouldn't be surprised to see her at the top of the podium, but still, I mean, yeah, what an athlete she is, just extending that medal tally yet further in this Scottish World Championships.
Now the recap then of the men's race, a lot more controlled, I think, than here, certainly, but that route choice there, it was like the most boring route choice control ever. And he took the gap on it, and then he's here at the front, and this is into the second to last route choice. Then he was at the front here, like, capitalised on this mistake, because this was now closed off compared to all of the other races. You need to read your map all the way to the very end. And Ricardo Rankin from Switzerland takes the win. His second gold medal of these championships. Of course, he takes the sprint relay one as well. You don't want to celebrate too soon, because obviously you have you have to get the download first. You have to confirm that you punched all the controls. Doesn't matter if the technology doesn't work. So amazing job by all of those. And the Swiss cowbells, of course, are out. The Swiss flags are out in force as you get these top 3 here on the podium as well. Well, Jonsson Gustafsson is, you know, I thought it might have been his day actually to get the to get the win. He's been so consistent actually in his performance that I thought maybe this was his time may still come. Jürgen Backlid, his first ever medal full stop in an international race. Strong work from him, and he just was in the right place at the right time. Did great orienteering again where others messed up
at this flower ceremony, but yeah, a big run from the Norwegian. There is a 6th medal of these World Championships, if I've counted correctly, for Switzerland. They came here saying they wanted 3. They've doubled that. All of the medals in this World Championship going to the Scandinavian nations or Switzerland. So despite 3 very technical, unusual in ways sprint races, it is the usual suspects that have cleaned up the medals. And, well, here they are.
Yeah, they've just got it right when it mattered on one of the most technical world championships, certainly sprint world championships ever. We really hope you have enjoyed watching all of these races and enjoyed watching the athletes sprint around these streets of Edinburgh. Very, very full of lots of steps, very technical courses, even in the qualifications as well. Do go back and have a look at those maps as well, and some happy faces then here at the end of this wonderful week here in Edinburgh. We'll leave you with some pictures of the race and hope you enjoyed these 2024 World Orienteering Championships here from Edinburgh.